Time is approximately 5:26 p.m. The first presentation is Florida City Gas, Start Off Smart. Sandy, you there?
Good morning, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to introduce you to Tiffany Rodriguez from Florida City Gas.
Thank you. Hello, thank you. The employees of Florida City Gas would like to present Start Off Smart with a contribution of funds that were raised by the employees themselves, not the company. So we're especially proud.
And we can't see the check back here. How big's the check? All right.
Large.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
We would like to express our gratitude to Florida City Gas. These funds will go to the children in our community, and thank you so much for serving this community.
Thank you.
Our next presentation is Officer of the Month. Chief?
Yes. Roll.
Mr. Mayor, council members, greetings and greetings to all of you. I am Captain Angela Washington with the Homestead Police Department, and on behalf of Chief Roll and the command staff, Colonel Scott Kennedy, Captain Garland Wright, we would like to present to you the Officer of the Month recipients that goes to Officer Roa for the month of May and Officer Rivera for the month of June. I will start with Officer Rivera, who started his career with the Homestead Police Department back in October 2014. He is currently assigned to the Uniform Patrol Division. During the month of May, Officer Rivera was the top producer on his shift, handling 213 calls for service, assigned as backup officer for 100 calls, wrote 18 reports, wrote 14 field interviews, 17 traffic citations, and made 11 arrests. And I would like to highlight a few of his activities for the month of May. On May 8th, while patrolling, Officer Rivera heard gunshots. He immediately started to proceed to the area where the shots were heard. Shortly after arriving, he noticed a vehicle that was partially blocking the roadway and parked on the sidewalk. With the assistance of his backup officers, as it turned out, the subjects were in a stolen vehicle. They were in possession of a loaded 9mm semi-automatic firearm, and there were drugs in the vehicle, so there was arrest without incident. The second incident, May 23rd, Officer Rivera attempted to make contact with a male that was riding a bicycle with no lights attached. When the male noticed Officer Rivera was trying to stop him, he ignored Officer Rivera, even though he had his lights on, trying to get his attention to stop. Officer Rivera noticed that after the subject ignored him trying to stop him, he noticed that the subject started fidgeting with something on the left side of his persons, concealing it from Officer Rivera. Eventually, Officer Rivera made contact with the person, and that male was in possession of an illegal firearm. and he was also taken into custody without incident. On May 28th, Officer Rivera was involved in a vehicle pursuit, a stolen vehicle that was taken in an armed carjacking that was occupied with 5 subjects. With the assistance of his officers, they were able to stop the vehicle, the occupants fled, and Officer Rivera maintained his composure by giving a description of the subjects and the direction of travel. All subjects were taken into custody without incident. Officer Rivera has been described by his immediate supervisors as, quote unquote, truly being impressed with his job performance. He is very proactive, and he has hit the ground running ever since he came on board. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I congratulate Officer Rivera for Officer of the Month for the month of May 2018. It says, presented to Officer Joseph Rivera for being selected Officer of the Month by Chief Alexander E. Roll, Jr., May 2018. Thank you very much. I have one more from you. Oh, sure.
Before we move on, I would like to also offer you a certificate of recognition presented to Joseph Rivera, Homestead Police Department. With gratitude, we thank you for your distinguished service above and beyond the call of duty. City of Homestead salutes you, Mayor and Council.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to thank you guys for coming out tonight and supporting Officer Roa and I. We both appreciate it. I want to start by thanking my dad, my pops, my mom, my beautiful wife and my daughter over there, my in-laws, my uncle who's a retired trooper. I appreciate everything you guys have done for me. You guys have stuck with me throughout going through the academy, going through the police department, and I really thank you guys for everything you've done for me. I also want to thank my supervisors, Lieutenant Trad, Sergeant Carlos Garcia, as well as Sergeant Eric Reyes, and at the time, it was Sergeant Acosta, now he's a lieutenant. We do appreciate everything you guys do for us in allowing us young, proactive officers to actually go out there on our downtime and look for these violent criminals. Chief, lastly, I want to thank you. I appreciate everything you've done for me in hiring me at such a young age, and I hope the fact that I'm up here today receiving this award after only 3 years shows you that you made the right choice. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, for the second recipient for Officer of the Month for the month of June, Officer Juan Roa. Officer Roa started his career with the Homestead Police Department in February of 2009, and he is currently assigned to Uniform Patrol Division, day shift. During the month of June, Officer Roa activities exceeded his co-workers. He handled 102 calls for service, wrote 24 traffic citations, and made 9 arrests. Again, just allow me to share with you a few activities that he was involved in during the month of June. On June 5th, while patrolling, Officer Roa too heard shots fired and responded to that immediate area. Officer Roa spotted a vehicle that was leaving the immediate area where the shots were heard. Contact was made with the, the driver of that vehicle by conducting a felony traffic stop. Three of the occupants, contact was made with 3 of the occupants, and 1 of the 3 subjects was taken into custody, also in possession of an illegal firearm, and having the pistol underneath the seat with the ammo. On June 25th, Officer Roa responded to a violent domestic incident where the boyfriend had beaten up the girlfriend, which she managed to escape the resident with her injuries, carrying her small child. Officer Roa arrived, and the subject refused to come outside. With the assistance of his fellow officers, Officer Roa was able to gain access to the resident by using the victim's key to get into the residence. Officer Roa established a dialogue with the subject, and after speaking with him for several minutes, he was able to get the subject to surrender and come outside. And he was also taken into custody without incident. Officer Roa is a fine officer. He does outstanding police work. He has demonstrated his commitment to serving the citizens of Homestead on a daily basis. Again, ladies and gentlemen, join me in congratulating him for Officer of the Month for the month of June, Officer Juan Roa. Says presented to Officer Juan Roa for being selected Officer of the Month by Chief Alexander E. Roll, Jr. for June 2018. Congratulations.
Officer Rowe, I would like to present a certificate of recognition to you. Officer Rojas, City of Homestead Police Department, with gratitude, we thank you for your distinguished service above and beyond the call of duty. City of Homestead salutes you, Mayor and Council. I want to just say, these people are out there every day pulling over cars with hidden guns, and you know, these people shoot back, and they shoot first sometimes. So we're very fortunate to have Chief, you and your team, and such great new officers coming on board, and keep up the good work, and thank you very much to both you young men for stepping up and being a great part of a great team. Thank you very much.
Other than what the mayor said, it's not only just me and my team, it's the supervisors. Because once we select them, hopefully we get the right guys. I think we have throughout the years. But it's up to supervisors to mold them and make them the officers that they are today. So I have to commend my command staff, my supervisors as well for doing such a good job. But however, we always try to select the best of the best. You know, Roa, and also Rivera. These are local people. You know, sometimes you have to get guys that got their heart in it, that really cares about the city. And that way, you don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to do a good job or not, because believe it or not, you know, this young man, he was born and raised in this town, just like and a lot of us. Same thing with Officer Roa. Again, you know, we try to get the best of the best, and we're trying to mold the officers into being the best they can be. But at the end of the day, our motto is that you have to go home safe. So thank you guys again. Really appreciate it. Mayor, you said it all. Thank you so much. And thanks to my command staff as well. Okay?
Next, we've got Vice Mayor Shelley, Military Appreciation. Sponsors, Vice Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I have the distinct pleasure today to honor some people who were involved in this year's Military Appreciation Day event. So this was our 7th year of having the Military Appreciation Day event, and it was planned very well, it was executed very well. Unfortunately, Mother Nature did not cooperate as well as they have the last 6 years, and it rained profusely all day long. But we still had a good turnout, and we still were able to honor our military men and women. And 1 out of 7 years having bad weather is not a bad set of odds. That means we're good for another 6 years going forward. But the event itself has always been, near and dear to my heart. It's something that we do every year as a city to show our appreciation for our military men and women. We are kind of one of our biggest economic engines, and stable legs here in the city of Homestead is our military base, the Homestead Air Reserve Base. And I remember I first came down here, and my wife's grandfather had told me a story about how impactful the base was on this community. And for 1 year, just to prove it, one pay period, just to prove it, they gave out $2 bills. And this is back when no one had credit cards and everyone paid in cash. So it was very impactful when everybody around town all of a sudden started receiving $2 bills as payment for goods and services. And so it was neat to see the impact, the actual economic impact that the base had. And this was prior to Andrew. And since then, though, since Andrew kind of destroyed the base, it has built itself back up and is once again a major economic engine with various tenants on that base that are generating economic impacts to our community, who are living in our community. And so I appreciate the people I'm about to give awards to for giving their time and efforts to provide a venue and a methodology to say thank you and appreciate all that the military has done for us. So the first 3 awards that I'm going to present are, the first one is actually to Texas Roadhouse. So they're a newbie to the Military Appreciation Day sponsorship and efforts, but they went above and beyond for their first effort to provide food for all of our volunteers and all the military people that came to set up and got there 2 or 3 hours before Military Appreciation Day even began. And they rewarded them with a fantastic food. And so I want to go ahead and invite someone up from Texas Roadhouse. Come on up. And so this is a certificate of appreciation to Texas Roadhouse, an appreciation of your generous contribution and support of our military community during our 7th annual Military Appreciation Day. Thank you for your hard work, care, and dedication to serving our military personnel and their families, allowing us to honor many. The City of Homestead salutes you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now the next 2 awards are for sponsors that have been there from day one. So they, from the first time, the first annual Military Appreciation Day, to now this most recent 7th annual Military Appreciation Day. And so the first of those 2 is Eagle Brands. Eagle Brands has been a sponsor of Military Appreciation Day. They've helped participate in the tent and helped provide services to them. So if someone would come up from Eagle Brands. And I see one of the people coming up from Eagle Brands is Jonathan Borgert. So as a sidebar, he's also been heavily involved in Military Affairs Committee, and he's been a big advocate in helping to, from a policy standpoint even, to move the base forward, to protect the base, especially when it comes to things like encroachment and otherwise. So he's up here as well with Eagle Brands. And this says, in recognition of your tireless efforts and constant support, we are thankful and appreciative for all that you've done during the past 7 annual Military Appreciation Day events. Thank you for your consistent commitment to caring and your dedication to serving our military and our community. The City of Homestead salutes you. Thank you guys very much. Thank you. And the last one is Sock South. Sock South has also been a participant from day one in Military Appreciation Day. And each year, they bring that big tent that has all the military displays. It shows all the weaponry they use. It shows all of the things that our military men and women use every single day to protect us and protect our freedoms. And they also always have stepped up to the plate. So last year, 2 years ago, we started this military challenge. And so Sock South has always risen to the occasion and provided teams to participate in that event year in and year out. So I want to thank Sock South for all that they've done and invite someone from Sock South to come up to receive this certificate. And theirs reads the same as the last one, so I won't read it again, other than to say this certificate is presented to Sauk South, and again, the City of Homestead salutes you. Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Those are the three sponsors. Now, if the mayor will permit, I'll go ahead and move into the next one, which is the committee. So this is the committee. I'm now going to present certificates to all the committee members that actually helped plan the Military Appreciation Day event. They typically start sometime in January or February. We meet starting once a month, and then once every 2 weeks, and then every week, and then, you know, the last week it's almost a daily, to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So they've put a big commitment into helping prepare for this Military Appreciation Day event. And so with that, I'd like to read the first one, and then I'll start inviting each person up. And then if you guys could all, as a committee, stay up here, we'll do one big group picture at the end. And so this one says, Certificate of Recognition. This certificate is presented to Best Studio Inn in recognition of your commitment to our military members and their families by providing support, service, and participation in our 7th Annual Military Appreciation Day. The City of Homestead salutes you. And would Best Studio Inns come up to receive this certificate? That means you too, Carlos. I know you don't like to come up here, but you're a big part of this. You've been a big supporter of this event and a big financial supporter as well. So you got to come up and at least be recognized. The next, do we have a? Well, no, we're going to do them all at once. So we'll do them. Yeah. So just stay here? Yeah, just stay there. We're going to get them all lined up, and we'll do one big group picture. I'll try to read through them so we can move it through. Next is 1SG Eric C. Birch. Thank you. Anthony Gorman. Homestead Main Street, Yvonne Knowles, who has also been there since the beginning for the creation of this. Thank you. SFC Pedro Orta. Next is Hugh Hudson. Laura C. Saunders Elementary School. Ron Mongol. Ron's a big part of our military static displays, so all those displays you see up and down Chrome Avenue, Ron's a big part of helping to corral those every single year. The Monroe Marauders. And these are the historic static displays that you see of the vintage military vehicles. So we appreciate them coming up from the Keys every single year and providing such historical vehicles for us to view. The Rotary Club of Homestead. The Seminole Theater. Pastor Brock Schiffer. The South Dade Chamber of Commerce. And the South Dade News Leader. I think I just got a notification they were not able to make it, but they've sponsored the trophy each year for the teams. The Homestead YMCA Family Center. Thank you. And this is your committee that helps plan Military Appreciation Day each and every year. So give them all a big round of applause.
Last but certainly not least is Councilman Roth.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Every once in a while, something good comes from something bad. I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman I met about a month ago, Isaac Liscombe. Come on up, Isaac. Isaac is one of ours. Isaac attended Keysgate High School, and back in 2016 in November, was involved in a very bad car accident. He was a star athlete at Keysgate. He was a sophomore at that time, a junior at that time, and had received many offers to many colleges across the country to play football and sports. He's one of ours. He's one of our children. In this accident, Isaac was paralyzed from the waist down. He was in the hospital for about 6 to 8 weeks. And by his side was his mother, Jill. Come on up, Jill. After Isaac recovered from his injuries, he kind of fell in love with a new sport. And I think his coach, is Coach still here? He's in it. Okay, we'll give him a minute. We'll bring him up in a second. Isaac had left Keysgate and went over to Homestead Senior High School. And you knew Coach before then, right? And then Coach kind of introduced you into track and field and said, hey, there's some things we can do to get your competitive spirit back. Is that right? So Isaac has been competing in adaptive sports competitions for about, what, the last year? Not even that long? Last 6 months. And Isaac, being one of ours, has excelled in this sports. I met Isaac about a month ago, and he needed some help. He needed some money. He was invited to compete in the Junior National Champion Tournament in Indiana. And I looked at him and I said, I'm going to try to do something for you. He needed about $5,000 to make the trip between transportation, hotels, his support team, his mom, his coach. Coach, I see you, Coach. He had a GoFundMe page set up, and I had done this in the past with the help of our community, and I said, you know what, I'm going to see if I can do something for you. And it's not me that did this. It was our community that did this for Isaac. I put the call out. Over 35 people donated money to help Isaac get to Indiana and compete in this tournament. We raised just under $3,000, $2,970. And combine that with his GoFundMe page, it was $5,000. That was his goal, $5,000. And it's the efforts of our community. We help ours. We want to see ours succeed. Isaac went to Indiana. I don't need the notes. I know this story. Isaac went to Indiana back in July, and he competed in 3 sports. He's been training in 5, I think, because you got track involved too, right? You got the 400 meter, the 800 meter, but he didn't compete in those when he went to Indiana. He competed in shot put, javelin, and discus, representing our town Homestead. Our kid, our child, one of ours, went to Indiana, took home first place in javelin, and set a new world record, right? In adaptive sports. He also took first place in shot put, also setting a new record. Discus, not so well, second place, but a personal best for Isaac. So Isaac has learned that it's not what's happened to you, it's what you can do in the future. Isaac will become a mentor eventually to others that are in his situation. Isaac is a hero in my book. And I'm going to give you this proclamation today that reads, whereas Isaac Liscombe was born April 1st, 1999, to Jill Zachary and Eddie Lipskin in Homestead, Florida. He's one of ours. Isaac Lipscombe began his athletic involvement at the age of 11, playing football at local parks such as Modelo Park, Timberwolves, and the Harrisfield Gators, before taking his talents to Keys Gate Charter School football team. Isaac Liscombe is proficient in other sports such as basketball, baseball, track field, which he has proven in his participation with the J.D. Reds baseball team, the Homestead Senior High's basketball team, and track and field teams. Whereas he has made this city proud by representing us in the Adaptive Sports Junior National Olympics in Fort Wayne, Indiana, placing first and setting new records in shot put and in javelin events, and placing second, setting his own personal best in discus. It is with great honor that the City of Homestead recognizes one of our own, Isaac Liscombe, for showing great determination, willpower, and a standard of excellence. Now therefore, I, that's Jeff Porter back there, the Mayor of the City of Homestead, Florida, do hereby proclaim this 22nd day of August 2018 as Isaac Liscombe Day. Thank you, Isaac. I'm thankful that we had an opportunity to meet in our community, contributed and helped you and lifted you to a different place. I know that when you were in Indiana, you met many people from across the country that compete, and in fact, I think you told me you met one of your competitive brothers or something over there. You guys have been swapping records back and forth, right? Who's in the lead right now, you or him? You got the two, he still got discus. So congratulations on that, and thank you for your time and your efforts and everything you've done to inspire me to help others as well. Would you guys like to say anything, Coach? I know you want to say something.
I'm going to keep it short and simple. We all live still in a village effect day, and this is truly a great village. And due to mayors and councilmen such as you guys have before you, they are the greatest things to help lead this community, and I appreciate them.
Thank you. Jill, you want to say anything? No? All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Mayor, thank you.
Great job, Larry. I want to congratulate everybody that was recognized tonight, and we're going to adjourn this portion of the meeting. Give us about 5 minutes, we'll roll into the council meeting. So thank you, everyone, for being here. I'd like to call the Wednesday, August 22nd, 2018 council meeting to order. It's approximately 6:10 p.m. This evening we'll have the invocation by Pastor Howard Harden, pastor of First Baptist Church of Homestead, followed by the Police Explorers and Councilman Roth for the pledge. Would you please rise?
Let us pray. Our Lord and our God, the author, giver, and creator of life, we thank you for bringing us here tonight. We thank you for the blessing of living in a nation that is free. We thank you for the grace that you give us that we can govern ourselves. And we thank you for the many public servants you have blessed this city with. We thank you for the many ways in which they serve, and we ask that you would honor their sacrifices. We ask tonight that you would give us wisdom on high for every decision that is made and the courage to always do what is right. I pray these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Left. Face. Forward. March.
Please be seated. Thank you, Pastor Harden, for the prayer, and Councilman Roth for the pledge, and always an honor to have the police explorers here. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Faircloth? Here. Councilman Maldonado?
Here.
Councilwoman Bailey?
Here.
Councilman Roth?
Here.
Councilman Burgess? Here. Vice Mayor Shelley?
Here.
Mayor Porter?
Here. Additions, deletions, deferrals. Mr. Manager.
It's addendum 1, CAR 2419.
Is there a motion to add addendum 1 to the agenda? Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. There's a request to defer motion, the marijuana addendum. Is there a request to defer tab 5? James?
Yes, tab 5, if we could defer that item to a date certain for the next council meeting. It still has to go to P&Z, so that's why we're asking for the deferral. So in order to preserve the advertising, we'd like to request that it be deferred to a date certain of September 26th.
Yes.
Is there a second? Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. That's all, Mr. Manager?
Yes.
Attorney? Okay. We could go to addendum 1.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting a grant award from the Children's Trust of Miami-Dade County for contractual support services to families exposed to violence, approving the grant agreement, establishing a budget for the expenditure of grant funds in the amount of $608,089, providing for implementation, providing for an effective date.
Manager?
Mayor, the Children's Trust of Miami-Dade County has allocated funding in the amount of $608,089 per year for a 3-year cycle. This is year 2 of the 3-year cycle. The funding allows for the provision of specialized support services to high-risk families. Those services include therapeutic services, relocation, judicial assistance, civil legal assistance, linkage to youth-oriented programs, financial assistance, and/or basic needs. The goal of the program is to reduce high-risk family interaction with law enforcement, the judicial system, and DCF through the implementation of services that mitigate the dysfunctional activity occurring within the family unit. There's a match of $161,620, which is met through the partnering agencies' general budgets. Staff recommends Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution and authorize City Manager to execute the contract agreement with Children's Trust of Miami-Dade. This agreement provides funding for 6 agencies to work in partnership in order to provide support services. Agencies are Mujer, SOS, and Familia, Legal Aid, Vita Law, Christie House, and Communities in School.
Questions from council, Vice Mayor?
What is specifically the role of the city in this? Are we just like the fiscal agent, or are we, because it seems like, okay. Because there's no monetary impact to us, correct? This is the budget, the matching's coming from the organizations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, I did not fully hear your question.
It was just what's the role of the city generally in this agreement, in this partnership? Are we the fiscal agent? Are we the ones that are overseeing it? How do we fit into the overall picture?
It's both. It's the fiscal monitoring of the grant funds, as well as our tie with the police department, working daily, interacting with law enforcement.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Ms. Fairclough?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Congratulations, Sandy, on another grant award. I had no doubt and full confidence that you would be receiving this award or these funds. I just have 2 questions. One is, how are these agencies partnered with you? Do you reach out to them? Do they reach out to you? How do you form that coalition with these particular agencies?
We have worked hand in hand with these agencies for over 15 years on various projects. And when we all came together as a coalition, is what we were looking for is each agency providing a different service and not duplication of services. So we looked for where the gaps in services were for these high-risk families, and that's how these agencies came to come aboard. For
And that leads
example,
into-
immigration services.
Right,
we
that
have
leads into my next question. With high-risk families, how many of these agencies work with the Haitian community?
every one of them.
So
Every
is
one.
their staff a part of these agencies that speak Haitian Creole?
Absolutely.
Have you considered working with agencies like Three Virtues, who work principally with the Haitian community, who has built relationships with the Haitian community? Have you considered allowing them to join forces with you to receive some of this support?
We work with other agencies other than these agencies. These are the funded agencies, and they have a lot of requirements that they have to meet in order to receive the grant funds. And it's, believe it or not, it's a lot of money, but it's a little pot of money
Right.
when you're dealing with
Right.
so many families. You know, we're serving 798 children. So we have agencies that we work hand in hand in partnership that may not be funded through the grant.
Right. But considering you've worked with these agencies for 15 years, I would encourage you to reach out to some of the other agencies in the community that are doing great work and would definitely benefit from receiving some of these funds, like Three Virtues organization. So if you could consider that in the future, I think that would be a plus for this community, because there is continues to be a gap in services with that particular stakeholder group.
Absolutely, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? This is a public hearing. If you'd like to speak for or against this, you're welcome to come at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Is there a motion? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Ross? Yes. Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilwoman Faircloth? Yes. Vice Mayor Shelley? Yes. Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Moving on, thank you. Next item is the consent agenda. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Second. Any final comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Public hearings. Mr. Attorney.
Yes, please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff made their presentations on each item. Swearing in, all testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to be either cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. Full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I had discussions with the representative for tab 3 regarding the change of the PUD.
Mr. Roth. Tab 4. Tab 4. Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. A very short, brief meeting, or I should say phone call on tab 3 with the developer's representative.
All right, sir. Ms. Bailey?
Tab 3 for me as well.
That's everybody but me.
Hearing no further, at this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify in any quasi-judicial item. So any person wishing to speak this evening in the audience, please stand, raise your right hand to be sworn by the clerk.
Please repeat after me. I. Please state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Tab 2 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving an amendment to the previously approved Malibu Bay Plan Unit Development Master Development Plan by transferring approximately .3341 acres designated for residential development from within Pod H to incorporate the property into Pod G, designated for commercial development to accommodate additional parking for the commercial uses within the PUD. Generally located southeast of the Homestead extension of the Florida Turnpike, west of Baptist Way and north of 312th Street Campbell Drive, as legally described in Exhibit A, providing for conflict, severability, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Cordino, reports from staff.
Yes, sir. We are recommending that the mayor and the council approve the amendment to the PUD master plan. This is a PUD that was approved a while back. It is west of the hospital in the Malibu Bay Plan Unit Development. What's happening here is that they have some unused residential land. They have hotels on the site. The hotels, I believe, require more parking. Their parking is sufficient to code, but they're going to take a strip of unused residential land, convert it to parking, and that would satisfy the hotel. So we're recommending approval. There's no negative impacts to this, and the applicant, I believe, is here to speak on the issue.
Any questions from council? Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. This hasn't gone to P&Z for lack of quorum, unfortunately, but I suspect the city has sent out the advertisements as needed to the people that are within a certain distance of this change.
Yes, we've followed all the rules. What we've done is because we have had a lack of quorum, we've just come into the first reading now. We'll go back to P&Z in a special call and come back here. So all of the advertisements and evidence, everything we need to do has been done to form, except for flip-flopping the...
Right. So then my question is, have we gotten, unfortunately, they didn't have an opportunity to come and voice their opinion or their acceptance or rejection. I just wondering if we had gotten any opinions sent to us or brought to us or anything brought
No comments on the, nobody's commented to us.
That was my question. Thank you.
Mr. Maldonado?
Just for clarification, this is, this property is owned by the hotel or the residents? Just for clarification. Or for the record.
I don't think it's owned. It's residential land that they're just converting over to parking for commercial. So I don't think it's owned by the applicant. It's not owned by anybody, any individual residents.
The applicant being was it the Abels family? Is it the hotel?
Yes. Is that correct? Yes.
Okay, thank you.
PMG asset.
Yeah, just for the record.
Anything else? No other questions from council. I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Anyone would like to speak for or against, you're welcome to come at this time. Yes, sir. Just give us your name and address, please.
Thank you, George Sapero. Is that good?
That's a little better, yes, sir.
I'm representing SFDIL, 4651 Sheridan Street, suite 480. We're here with the applicant. We're here to answer any questions. There's multiple applicants, all the parties involved. We, first of all, are very grateful to staff and to council for allowing us to come here a little bit out of order while we allow planning and zoning to have their meeting. That is very important for the commitments we've made to the leases that we're trying to sign for the vacant parcel. A couple of quick clarifications. The hotels have exceed parking by code because the franchise has a higher requirement than city code. It requires one parking space for every room. And when the hotels were built and having a vacant property, the hotels were built in 2009, 2011, when things were really bad. There were no commercial prospects for that property. So the vacant property to the south was used for parking. We're having a great opportunity to now finally complete Villa Portofino East and East Commercial. This is the last parcel. We're very excited, but we don't have enough room because of the parking that's being taken over by the hotels. So we're just squeezing things around, using someone used land to be able to add the parking, and that will allow us to finally finish this last piece on the south on Camel Drive. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Burgess?
Thank you. Perhaps I overlooked it in the package, but how many spots will or this acreage would allow how many cars to be parked there?
I apologize, somebody just asked me in the audience that, and I try to quickly look at it. The problem is that you're taking away parking spaces and you're adding parking spaces, so I have to add and subtract, and I apologize I didn't do that math, but I'll shoot you an email with that number.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Any other comments, questions? Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments, questions from council? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough? Yes. Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Moving on to tab 3 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving an amendment to the previously approved Crystal Lakes Plan Unit Development Master Development Plan to permit retail commercial office uses on an approximately 1.2 acre parcel located at 3320 Northeast 8th Street as legally described in Exhibit A, providing for conflict, severability, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Cordino?
Yes, sir. We're recommending approval of this PUD amendment as well. This is really simply providing a little bit more flexibility within their PUD. They have a parcel of land, about 1.2 acres, that they're allowed to put a 5,000 square foot bank. And what we're doing here is allowing them to expand the square footage of the building to about 7,300 square feet, and then open it up to essentially everything that is a B2 use. Very similar to a bank, but just providing more flexibility. When these PUDs were originally approved, they were very specific, and those were done a while back, and to compete with the changing market, this flexibility we find is needed, so we're recommending approval.
Thank you. Any questions from council? I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Any questions from the public?
Good evening. My name is Tracy Slavens. Address is 701 Brickell Avenue, Suite 3300. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, CL Property Holdings. We are proposing a change to the PUD to increase this footprint of our building from, as Mr. Cordino said, 5,000 square feet of a bank to approximately 7,300 square feet of retail and commercial uses. If you'll recall, a few months ago, I was here with a change, similar request, but for the racetrack parcel that sits to the east of it, or to the west of this parcel. That change to the racetrack parcel removes some of the retail use, so we're picking it back up here and implementing it on the property. We expect to have a 3-tenant retail building on this site, and we'll be back to you with a site plan at the next zoning hearing. If you have any questions.
Any questions, Ms. Fairclough?
No, not a question, just a comment. We've spoken previously, and I was very clear with the quality of retail operators that are coming into my district.
Yes.
You know the community that you're in, so I would hope that you'll be very selective with the tenants that you bring into the community. I see you offered a declaration of restricted covenants and you outlined some prohibited uses, but I think it needs to go a little bit further and be very selective with who you bring in that district that I represent.
Understood.
Thank you.
We do have one tenant that is tentatively signed up pending our approval. It is a bakery use that will hopefully have some dining incorporated into it, or at least seating areas. So the idea is that this will be community serving retail services and office.
Any other questions? This is a public hearing. This gentleman behind.
Hello, folks. My name is Edward Powell. Good to see you, Mayor. I haven't seen you in about 3 months. Glad to see you. Edward Powell, 745 Southeast 18th Lane. Just curious, having been on planning and zoning for 12 years, thank you, Mayor, for not reappointing me. I appreciate that. The developer had mentioned, I had seen where they're posting a special call for planning and zoning next week. I'm a little confused. The developer said the reason why that's happening is because the last 2 months, planning and zoning, they haven't had a quorum. Well, how can you hear this before your advisory committee has a hearing? I'm a little confused. You have one hearing, what, they're going to come back to you and say no, and you're going to have another hearing? That doesn't make sense to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Close the public hearing. Mr. Maldonado?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, that's also part of the community I serve as well. So just one question in regards to the entrance road, which is used right now, heavily used by anyone entering into the Dairy Queen. Is that road still gonna be there? Is it gonna be changed, modified? What's the plan there?
The road that runs between this parcel and the Dairy Queen will be used and completed and improved. We'll have landscaping along it, and it'll be a nicer entrance once this property comes into the mix.
To staff, maybe I ask this question. I know there's an entrance that's westbound that they use to enter directly into the Dairy Queen. Is that going to be modified or changed? Or is it actually it's the same entrance as well? Because they have their part, which is between the two buildings, but we're talking now. I'm talking about on 312th Street. There's a left-hand turn. Are we doing anything in regards to that? And I say that because there's always been kind of issues with people kind of leaving that area.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, through your chair, our plans don't show any changes to the median on Campbell Drive. The left turn will remain. The directional will be 2 lanes inbound to the property and 1 exit lane that's right turn only. There's no left turn allowed out of that driveway.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from council? Is there a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Burgess.
Mayor, just for the public's information, I would like for Mr. White or somebody from staff just to clarify so that there is no misconception of wrongdoing by this body.
I'm happy to. With regards to Mr. Powell's statement, it's correct that the Planning and Zoning Board was unable to meet for 2 months due to lack of quorum. So in this instance, there's no prohibition in allowing a first reading of this ordinance to come to you as long as the Planning and Zoning Board views it and makes a recommendation prior to second reading. We generally try not to do this, but given the circumstances and the backlog due to not having quorum for 2 months, we thought this was an extraordinary circumstance that warranted allowing the applicant to move forward for first reading, given that we would go to P&Z and have P&Z's recommendation before this came back to you next month for second reading.
Thank you, Mayor. As to the P&Z recommendation, it's a recommendation only. The body, the city council body is the final say, so a recommendation could be for or against and
Correct.
really have no bearing on what this body chooses to do with the applicant, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Fairclough? Yes. Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 4.
Yes, tab 4 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting final plat approval for an approximately 52,496 square foot extended stay hotel on 2 parcels of land totaling approximately 3.45 acres located at 1071 Northeast 28th Avenue as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Cordino?
Yes, sir. We're recommending approval of the final plat. What's happened here is that we gave a plat approval and tentative plat approval and site plan approval back in 2016. And since that time, the final plat hadn't been issued, and 3 things had changed in the plat, purely ministerial. And so those corrections were made, but we can't make those ministerial corrections without coming to the council. So they don't impact the site, the way it's built or laid out or anything, just words on the plat paper.
Okay. Questions from council? I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Mr. Proctor.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I need to be sworn in on this item.
I,
Jerry Proctor.
please state your name, hereby swear or affirm, hereby swear or
I swear and
affirm
affirm
that the information I present
that the information I present
shall be the truth
will be the truth,
and nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Jerry Proctor with law office at 9130 South Dayland Boulevard, representing the applicant in this matter. This is the final plat. We've had a change of surveyor and a lender that has been added to the mix since the plat was approved 2 years ago by the council. Substantively, the matter is unchanged. We have a hotel nearing occupancy, as you have probably seen. We appreciate the support of the mayor and council and the staff, and we are in agreement with staff's recommendation. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Any other comments from the public? Close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Is there a motion? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Faircloth? Yes. Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Proctor. Legislative matters?
Yes, moving on to tab 6. Tab 6 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city code by amending Chapter 16, Local Business Taxes and Business Regulations, Article 2, Local Business Tax Receipts, by modifying the regulations related to inspections for renewal of business tax receipts, providing for severability, inclusion in the code, conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is second and final reading.
Cordino?
Yes, sir. We are recommending approval of this ordinance amendment. We had read that this is the second reading, so we went through it last month. This is where we are relieving ourselves of the responsibility to inspect the businesses every year. Our research has shown that effectively nobody else goes through that measure, and it becomes a burden on the staff and the community, so we're recommending approving it. We can pick all of that stuff up under the renewals. Every time a new business comes in, they get tested, and the fire company also does their work, which keeps things safe. So we're recommending approval.
Any questions from council? I'll open up the public hearing at this time. You're welcome to come at this time from the public. It's for or against. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilwoman Faircloth? Yes. Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 7.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there's an ordinance for second reading, an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the budget for the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017 and ending September 30th, 2018 by increasing the total budgeted revenues and expenditures by $1,698,963, providing for repealer, severability, and an effective date.
Mr. Manager?
Mayor, this is an amendment to the confiscated property fund budget as a result of seized funds being received by the city this year. It's a housekeeping item. Staff recommends Mayor and Council approve and amend the fiscal year 2018 budget for seized forfeiture funds received in the confiscated property fund as per the attached schedule. And that's it.
Any questions from council? This is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Seizing forfeiture funds. Mr. Powell?
Edward Powell, 745 Southeast 18th Lane. Last month I was here and I had mentioned the monthly seems to be the budget amendment, and last month was $1.6 million. Is this a new $1.6 million this month, or is that a carryover from last month? Are we doing this every month, $1.6 million? What we're up 32% last month. Now what? So we're up 34, 35. Is that where the million? I don't understand. And plus, maybe you could explain what amendment to confiscated property. Last month you made some statement about how it worked into the budget, and I don't understand. So could you please help me and the people out here what confiscated is and why another $1.6 million to our budget? Could you help me with that? I need some help. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the public? I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Manager?
Yes, Mayor, this is the second reading, so the explanation that I gave, I made a fairly lengthy presentation at the last meeting explaining this is the same, you have to do it in 2 readings. If you amend the budget, it has to be two meetings. So it's the same exact item, it's just the second reading. So it's not an additional, it's the same amount.
Any other questions? Any other comments from the public? I had to close the public hearing, I'm sorry. Any other comments or questions from the council? Is there a motion on tab 7? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 8.
Mayor, Courtney Vega Sports Athletic Foundation is hosting their 3rd annual Sickle Cell 5K walk run. This event will bring awareness and improve the quality of life for people with sickle cell disease and related illnesses. There will be vendors and water stations present. The walk is free and open to the public. Courtney Vega Sports Athletic Foundation is a nonprofit organization. They are requesting that the mayor and council authorize city manager to approve a waiver of usage fees for a total amount of $585 for the use of Roscoe Warren Park on Saturday, September 22nd, 2018, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. According to the city's code, chapter 20, section 20-11, fees and charges, the city council sets fees and has the right to waive parks and recreation fees by a majority vote.
Questions from council? Mr. Maytan, what does the $585 pay for? What is it they're asking for?
Mayor, the Sickle Cell Foundation, when they use Roscoe Warren Park, they use 2 pavilions for the people, that set up and for registration and that. So we have to charge them for the pavilions. So that's what we do there. That's what the charges are. But this is their 3rd year, just to let you know, and being the parks director, I haven't had no problems with them. They've been keeping the park clean, nice, and it's a great thing that they do. And LaWanda is here if you have any questions.
Any questions from council? Mr. Burgess.
Just a comment, Mayor and fellow council people. These people have done a wonderful job out there for 2 years. The community is starting to catch on and gone out and been more and more, and it takes time to get these things going, and I know every year they've grown. Unfortunately, last year they got hit with some bad weather when they were going to have it. Hurricane came through, so I think it would be very nice of us if we could help them out this year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, questions? I'll open up the public hearing at this time on tab 8. Anyone would like to speak, comment? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is LaWanda Bragg, and I'm the CEO and founder of Courtney Vega Sports Athletic Foundation, 2911 Southeast 13th Road here in Homestead. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you humbly for your continued partnership and support over the past 2 years for this event. Forgive my voice because it's gone. But Mayor and Council, you guys have been tremendous. Dennis has been awesome in supporting the event, and we are continuing to raise awareness for this disease. A lot of individuals don't know about the disease, but with the partnership that we do have with Homestead Hospital, we're now able to offer free lunch and learn services and seminars educating our community about this disease. As an educator and a parent of a child with sickle cells, it is imperative to continue to educate parents, caregivers, and our community. And as Councilman Burgess said, a lot of the community are catching on. So I just want to thank you for your continued support and partnership.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments from the public? Close the public hearing. Ms. Fairclough.
Yes, I just have a comment. LaWanda Bragg, thank you for the work that you do. You're personally invested in this, having a daughter that's battling sickle cell. In addition to the 5,000 5K walk, you also are expanding your outreach with the Lunch and Learn series, which I've learned so much about sickle cell having attended that. So thank you for continuously raising the awareness and consciousness for sickle cell and educating all of us on the impacts of sickle cell that it has had on you and your family. So thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Maldonado? Councilman Ross? Councilman Burgess? Councilwoman Fairclough? Vice Mayor Shelley? Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Resolutions, tab 9.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting a proposal and approving a work authorization for engineering services for an RFP process to identify sources of wholesale power supply for the city's electric utility department between the city and Downs Associates, Inc., pursuant to continuing contract awarded under RFQ 2013-07, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, the City of Homestead has power purchase agreements in place with many different entities in order to cover the 115 megawatt of current power supply needed by the city. On December 31st, 2019, the existing contract with Duke Power will expire, creating a 40 megawatt gap in the power supply availability. Subsequently, on May 31st, 2021, the city's contract with Seminole Power expires, causing an additional gap of 15 megawatts. As a result, these upcoming shortages will need to be replaced with new power resources. Downs and Associates will be tasked with supporting the preparation of a request for proposal for future power supply resources and assist with the evaluation of submitted proposals. Downs and Associates assisted with the city's last solicitation, resulting in 3 contracts with very favorable pricing options for the city. Staff recommends the mayor and council approve the attached resolution and authorize city manager to execute the contract agreement with Downs and Associates for a total of $38,850. And it's a good time for these contracts to be expiring because they're not great contracts for us. So we've been waiting for this time, and hopefully we'll get much better prices. That's the hope, sir.
Any questions from council? I'll open up the public hearing at this time. Anyone would like to speak as to this resolution? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Any final comments? Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Ross?
Yes.
Councilman Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Councilwoman Bailey?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 10.
Mr. Mayor, this is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving and authorizing an agreement for group health insurance contract with Neighborhood Health Partnership and United Health Care, and approving an agreement for supplemental hospital and medical coverage with American Public Life, authorizing purchase transaction, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, as you know, we've been kind of looking at ways to reduce expenses in our budget in order to try to address what's been, I guess, since the recession hit, all our total assessments dropped by over 50%. So we kind of adopted a strategy that through the recession we were going to try to get through as best as we could without laying off any employees, without reducing services, without raising the millage rate. And so we've done the best we can, but at some point it became necessary to start really looking seriously at some of our major costs, and one of which is health insurance. In your packet, I think you'll see the trend lines for our health insurance costs, and you'll see the chart where it talks about, at one point overall, we used to spend, I guess it was 13 years ago, we spent about $3.5 million for all of our health insurance costs to cover all of our employees. And now we're in excess of $10 million. So that's, roughly $7 million increase in costs over those periods of time. So our goal in trying to look at this issue was, how do we save the taxpayers' money, reduce costs to this organization, therefore helping us get to our ultimate goal, which we've been talking about for years, which is get to a balanced budget where we don't have to rely on our non-recurring revenues, i.e. our rainy day funds, in order to balance our books. And so we went out to the market and we asked for basically the best prices we could get with some changes in some of the deductibles, but also to have a belt and suspenders plan so that whatever gaps there were in coverage, that we would have a supplemental plan. And what you see before you here saves the city a substantial amount of dollars, and the coverage takes care of our employees. I don't think that I think we've accomplished the goal of protecting our employees here, and we spent a good amount of time over the last week making sure all of our employees understand what the change is here. And we're recommending the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing city manager to enter into an agreement with Neighborhood Health Partnership and United Healthcare for the term of 10/1/18 through 9/30/19 to provide group health insurance coverage. Additionally, the resolution with authorize city manager to enter into an agreement with American Public Life to provide supplemental hospital and medical coverage, or GAP coverage, a component of the health insurance for the same term, which will cover both employees and retirees. The total cost of these coverages, and as of last night, we had one change. They offered a 1% reduction. So the number that's in your booklet is changed to $6,727,608.84. I'll read that one more time, $6,727,608.84. NHP and UHC has provided the city with a rate renewal cap of 14.9% for fiscal year 2020. This package authorizes city manager to renew with NHP, UHC, and American Public Life if necessary for subsequent years. And one other thing about your document in this car item, down at the last sentence, there's another number that changed slightly because of the 1% reduction, and I'll read that out for the record. That number, 327577740, changes to $3,293,668. So it's a 1% difference, but we wanted to make sure that was on the record as well. So these are substantial savings to the city. I think it goes a long way. We spent months and months with staff trying to figure out how do we get ourselves to a balanced budget without impacting services and without laying off any employees. And unlike other governments over the years, when the recession hit, the first thing they did is go after their employees. And we thank you all over the years for your support, for not allowing that to happen, because we think that is not a great culture. You know, it's during the times of crisis that people rely on their government the most. And so as you think about what our objectives was, we didn't want to go to the taxpayers and ask them for any more money, raising their mill rate. We didn't want to put any employees out on the street, adding to the unemployment rolls. And we wanted to make sure that this organization remained intact. Now, this doesn't address all the other wants and needs everybody has, and we know everybody's tried to be patient about, we want more of this and more of that. And so even though we're able to provide you with a balanced budget with these savings, that still doesn't address all the other wants and needs that everybody has. So at some point, well, I guess we can have a discussion about where do we go in the future. And but in the meantime, our objective was pretty clear: get us to a balanced budget without without increasing the mill rate or reducing services. And this change in health insurance does that, and it also protects our employees. And for those that had some issues with the potential changes in deductibles and some catastrophic situations, we added this gap insurance plan as well. And I know there was some concern or question on employees about what happens to the gap insurance plan the following year. I would like to just say publicly that it is my intention next year not to recommend that the gap insurance plan go away. I think this is part of the formula to make sure that there is no, what we don't want to have happen is that we have catastrophes and then all of a sudden people have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars in their time of crisis. So that's really the purpose of the gap insurance plan. We also have, if somebody feels really uncomfortable that, if the whole family gets, plane lands in somebody's yard and everybody ends up in the hospital. For those who feel they want additional coverage, we're also working with the insurance carriers to try to offer yet another option for employees if they want an additional supplemental gap plan as well for relatively low cost. So that really is what we did here, and I want to thank the staff and Brown & Brown and everybody that worked on this, and I also thank the employees for being patient here, because anytime you try to change somebody's health insurance, it's a little unsettling, and but I would say we reached a formula that I think is a win-win for everybody.
Any questions from council? Mr. Manager, I know this kind of started out a little rocky, and like you said, there was a lot of confusion and a lot of questions, and it seems to have quieted down. I know some of our employees are out here tonight. I don't know that, you know, I'm assuming if the unions were against it, they would be in front of us, correct?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if everybody could wave their magic wand, we would prefer status quo. Nothing changes. In fact, I think if everybody could wave their magic wand, we never raise taxes, we get more police officers, we get more parks employees, we get more of everything else, because we are servicing a population now that was 40,000, and now it's 75,000, and so we increased our population by 75%, but we increased our staff by 8%. So that's what this organization is doing. It's with 8% more staff, we're servicing 75% more population. And with that comes more calls for service, more needs for parks, more needs for everything. Not to mention the fact that internally as well, you know, IT needs grow. We don't have the sufficient amount of IT people for what we'd like to do. But so if we tested it and said, geez, what would everybody prefer? Well, everybody would prefer to keep what they have and not pay anything else. The employees in 13 years, as our costs for health insurance went up in excess of 200%. When it went from $3 million to $10 million in cost during that entire 13-year period, we never asked our employees to pay $1 more. Now, I think if you went to the public and said, how much more has your health insurance increased over the 13 years, meaning what has your employer asked you to pay, it is astronomical what the public has paid. Now, we don't want to just use this one thing as in a vacuum, health insurance. There's a lot of, it was some years our employees didn't take raises to try to get us through the recession. So it's not really a one-sided argument other than to say, yes, it's natural for everybody to be concerned initially, but oh, they're changing health insurance carriers. It's reasonable for everybody to want to ask questions. But I think in this particular case, as people started becoming knowledgeable on what's in this plan, it's certainly not perfect. If you love the particular love the particular carrier, we also have, we believe 98% of the doctors that are on one list in the first carrier will be in the second. That leaves us with 2%, which we want to work on and figure out if we can work with those physicians to join with the other one as well, so that there is no disruption to anybody. But if you hit 98%, that's pretty good. In fact, I think it's pretty miraculous that we were able to get it to that point. And I also think that if you look at what we're saving, the savings are very substantial. And we really, I don't think we hurt anybody. Oh, and also one thing I didn't mention is that retirees pay whatever the premium is. So if the premium goes down by 30 some odd percent, retirees are going to get substantially the same coverage, but they're going to be paying 30% less for their coverage. So retirees will end up saving more, and if by some chance they want supplemental gap insurance, they'll be able to use those savings in order to pay for an additional gap insurance plan as well. I mentioned to some of you this, which I don't expect anybody to cry for me, but my contract, you pay me whatever the premium is for the employees. The premium goes down in excess 30%, so I lose $1,000 a month. So if you vote for this tonight, I will lose $12,000. So why am I doing this? Why am I recommending this? I didn't tell my wife I'm losing $12,000, but I'll tell you this. We need to balance this budget. And so this is the best way for us to do this without hurting anybody but me. And so therefore, I lead by example, and I'm going to take the hit because I think it's very important for the city to do this. And for all of the employees that are unsettled about this, as changes come along, as questions come along, we're happy to answer any questions. But I don't think we want to continue to go down to the point where we use up all our reserves and we have nothing else, and then we're all in crisis figuring out who's going to go over the life raft. This is now the time to do it, and so we still have stability. And I think that's what we have been aiming for all along. We knew we couldn't tax our way out of this problem as the economy dropped, and so we figured let's hold everybody together as best as we can, and hopefully between growing the economy, which our economy has grown substantially because of some of the things that we've done over the years, we're starting to see the benefits of it, and so our assessments have started going up. And so some of the spending that we did over the few years, that helped get the assessments up, and then with a major cost change like this, I think we got to a point which we weren't really sure when we started this process we'd be able to do this. And I will commend Brown & Brown for their efforts in getting this number down, and then at some point the second carrier, the existing carrier also went down substantially, so we really ended up with a very good price for us.
One other question, Mr. Manager. I mean, one of the things that was a discussion was, you know, doctors on the plan and doctors not being on the plan. And I know I'd had a conversation with Brown & Brown about the time frame. There may be certain doctors that may not be on the plan now, but could be asked to join the plan. And so there was a question as to timing, and I think they said it could be a 45-day window for doctors that may want to join into the plan. So for employees that may be concerned about their doctor not, the specific doctor not being on the plan, if that doctor wants to join the plan, it was a 45-day time frame. They may
and what the employee should know is if anybody encounters something like that, let us know, because the sooner we start the process of contacting the physician's office and trying to get them on the plan, it's from really the only reason it wouldn't happen likely is if the physician just doesn't want to join that particular carrier.
But I guess the concern was nobody was really sure until Tom and his team basically said they could probably get, if the doctor wanted to join the plan, obviously that's the first caveat.
Yeah.
The doctor's got to want to join the plan, but if that doctor wants to join the plan, it was about a 45-day window, not a year or 2-year window to get brought in. So that was a significant question that was proposed to me, was my doctor's not on and it may take a year or better to get on the plan, assuming they want to join the plan. So any questions from council? Any other questions from council? This is a public hearing. I'll open up the hearing to the public. Anyone would like to come speak for or against this resolution, change the health care plan? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Final comments, Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I just wanted to echo. I had some concerns for me that the PBA reps called me last week and we had some frank discussions. And I think the important thing was, as the manager alluded to, is that we've got to balance this budget. We cannot continue to run this city in the deficit like we've been running over the last 6, 7, 8 years, whatever the number was. The rainy day fund is down to a drizzle fund, unfortunately. But we're turning around. I appreciate their comments. They were taken to heart. I had a candid conversation with Mr. Jones from Brown & Brown. He understands where the city's at and where we need to be. They worked diligently for, 5 months, I believe, Vivian, you guys worked on this project, trying to figure things out. So thank you to everybody that worked. This isn't easy. This is, I think, the 4th or 5th time in probably 12 years that we've had a different carrier come through. And every time it's not an easy process for the employees because everybody gets to a comfort level and they understand where they're at. And whenever there's change, there's always an uneasiness that falls over everybody. And I think that was one of the things with a lot of misconceptions that came to me when I was called last Thursday when the product was revealed to the PBA. And so I think most of those questions have been answered, so thank you to staff for their diligence in taking care of that. And I want to thank the employees, because without them buying into the ideas that we have through the management team, this wouldn't be able to be done. And if this isn't able to be done, as the manager alluded to, there's only one step left. And that's us running another deficit that we're not able to carry. And then we would have to come to some drastic measures at the end, which nobody here has ever wanted to do, but eventually you've got to do. And as the manager alluded to again, there's no taxing yourself out of a $4 million saving or a $3 million savings, whatever the number exactly is. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that worked hard on this. I appreciate the employees sharing their thoughts, problems, concerns, and hopefully that we were able to rectify and answer all their questions and concerns. And thank Brown & Brown for having frank discussions with us and figuring out what we wanted as a body, those of us that spoke to them, and helping us get to there. So thank you.
Sir, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just want to kind of echo some of the stuff that the Councilman Burgess said and the city manager said, and that is, we've kind of hit a critical time here in our decision-making process, and I don't think, we would prefer to maintain the status quo, and when they first came and sat and met with us, Human Resources, and kind of presented this plan, it was a lot of facts and figures and numbers, and it didn't make sense, on its face. But then as they went through the examples and they tried to show, how it actually would affect the employees, because that was one of the big concerns, is how does this actually affect the employees? Because as much as we need to reduce our expenses and we need to not be running a deficit, we needed to make sure that it didn't negatively affect our employees, or at least had the least amount of effect on the employees as possible. And so I think that all the work that's been put in it by Human Resources, by the city manager, Brown & Brown, Evelyn and Tom over there, I think you were able to come up with a great win-win, where the city is able to accomplish what we need to do from a long-term planning standpoint, from a fiscal standpoint, a responsible standpoint, but at the same time have as minimal effect as possible on the employees, where it's still able, they're still able to go to 98% of their doctors. They're still, for the most part, our out-of-pockets aren't substantially different. And then, I asked you guys to run a report to show how are we compared to other Miami-Dade County cities and other places. And that report pretty much so said that our employees are still much better off than the majority of any other municipal employee, and in fact, many private employees in the state, in Miami-Dade County. And so I think that's a testament to the win here, that we're all going to be able to take home what we need to take home. And there's some real concern, as Councilman Burgess mentioned, that our rainy day fund is really not substantial enough to support us anymore. And we chose this policy to try to build our way out, which I think we've done a good job considering where we were, the substantial deficit we had, versus now being able to hopefully get to a balanced budget. And we'll get to the budget cycles as we come up in the upcoming months. But it looks like we're within striking distance. That's important because ultimately there are some amendments that could be on this election this year too that could put us in a deeper hole if they're passed, that would more substantially affect our revenues that come in, which would further amplify these concerns that we're having right now. And so this is the time that we need to address this so that it gives us still enough cushion to survive the next crisis that comes our way. So again, the same thing, I just want to thank staff for working so hard, thank the employees for learning about the plan and working with us to try to help everybody as a whole, and so I just want to thank that and Brown & Brown as well. So thank you guys.
Any other comments? Could I open up the public hearing? And we close the public hearing. So, is there a motion on tab 10? Moved and seconded. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Councilwoman Fairclough? Yes. Councilman Burgess? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley? Yes. Mayor Porter?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Tab 11.
Mayor, at the July 25th, 2018 council meeting, the police department was requested to provide a summary memo with regard to the county's new school-based law enforcement mandate. Report is in your packet, and if you have questions or comments, we're open to those.
Vice Mayor, Ms. Fairclough.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As the liaison from this council to the Education Committee and been an educator to the core at heart, quite naturally, this topic has been very important to me. I believe for the past 2 months I've been talking about it at every council meeting. So we had asked the police department to provide a summary, a report of where we are and what this mandate entails. And I'd like to thank the chief and his team for doing your due diligence. I know you may be in a vicarious situation or position, but this is our new normal. Parkland happened, and how do we respond to that? So we can easily say, well, this is the school district's mandate. It's their problem. Let them deal with it. But to me, this isn't about the school district. It's about our kids and what we can do to ensure their safety, security, and do our part to make sure their safety, their welfare is well protected. And as a school principal, I have seen the benefits of that officer at my school. Not only did the officer come on the first day, the assistant city manager came to greet me on the first day. I thought that was first class. And I don't know any municipality that is working with the surplus budget. I know we are not. I don't know any municipality that's probably full staff with their police officers and can truly afford putting more police officers in schools. But I know several municipalities that, in spite of those obstacles, they have officers at those schools. Homestead always has been a community that helped. Homestead has always had a heart. And I just can't subscribe to saying, well, Homestead, we're not going to do anything, let them figure it out. So I am interested in hearing my colleagues' position on this. Where do you stand? Will we say Homestead is not getting into that? Let the school district deal with it? Or do we step up to the plate like some of those other municipalities like Miami Gardens, who have larger issues than we have, but they have officers in their schools? So with that, I see principals here from schools in our community. I see the Associate Superintendent, Ms. Araida Mendez-Cartaya. She's Associate Superintendent of Intergovernmental Affairs, Grants Administration, and Community Engagement. I see the Chief of Police here from the Miami-Dade County Public School District. And through the mayor, I would like to invite the Associate Superintendent to come up and just give an idea of what the ask is as of today, and then we'll entertain comments, questions from council.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Thank you, Councilwoman, for your statements. Why are we here? We are here as a result of legislation that was passed, Senate Bill 7026, as a result of a huge tragedy that happened just north of us. An unfortunate tragedy which resulted in legislation that is sort of a knee-jerk reaction. The Florida legislature required in Senate Bill 7026 that every public school have a law enforcement officer at the school, basically bell to bell. And they wrote into the legislation that obviously, you know, Miami-Dade County Public Schools is actually one of the very few school districts in the state that actually have their own law enforcement agency. Okay, while it's a small law enforcement agency, we do have some law enforcement agency. So the legislation actually says that school districts and the school superintendent would implement this through partnerships through local municipalities, which typically have their own law enforcement agencies and normally are bigger than a school district, which in most cases are none. The Florida legislature appropriated for Miami-Dade County Public Schools a mere $10 million. Of that $10 million, $2 million go right out the door to charter schools. The remaining $8 million, $2 million would be kept in our school district in order to hire law enforcement officers for our agency. The remaining $6 million is being offered to municipalities that are willing to partner with the school district and provide an officer at our schools for 180 days, bell to bell, while the students are there. You know, this is not our doing. This is legislative. The ask is a one-year ask. We will continue, and we have since legislative session concluded, we have continued to advocate for additional monies to be appropriated. And in fact, the governor issued a press release yesterday that the remaining funds in the Guardian program, which is approximately $58 million, he is asking the Joint Legislative Budget Committee to shift those $58 million and distribute that to the school districts statewide. So the ask is a one-year. The ask is for the community to come together in support of our schools or our students. As Councilwoman said, it's about our students and keeping our students safe. The ask is to join us during the next legislative session and advocate for full funding for an effective and efficient model. This may not be the most effective and efficient model. However, it is the model that is being mandated to all school districts across the state. So with that, I will entertain comments or questions.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions. So the ask is for 1 year, 180 days. This is not in perpetuity. And from here, there's going to be a request for funding from the state legislature, as well as a potential referendum on the ballot to help fund this?
Yes. So there's potentially 2 bites of the apples to fund this going forward beyond the 18-19 school year. One, there's the legislative session. We've already begun those conversations with our own members of the day delegation. We are fortunate to be having our next Speaker of the House from our own day delegation. So those conversations have already started from the state perspective. In addition to that, our board has adopted a referendum to put the question to the people on the November ballot, and that is to provide a tax increase of 3/4 of a mil. And that purpose of that money would be to increase teacher compensation and to increase school safety security personnel. So we have 2 potential solutions going forward, and even perhaps if the joint budget committee, the legislative budget committee meets and appropriates those additional monies, then school districts will have some additional monies to enter into and actually augment what municipalities would be getting.
So for those municipalities that are supporting this initiative, is there there will not be an intent to come back to these cities after the first year asking for additional support?
I do not understand the question.
I just want to make sure that for those municipalities that are supporting and providing police officers and probably providing dollars, you're not going to come back to those municipalities and ask them to support again
for next year.
Right.
So we may, depending on what happens at the state, depending on what happens with the referendum. I can't tell you that we won't be here next year. You know, I can't predict this situation for next year. However, we're making every effort to advocate at the state level for full funding or certainly some modification of the current model that has been dictated to us by the state, and we are taking the leap of asking the community to support these initiatives by providing additional funding. One point that I need to make, you know, I've been asked, why hasn't the school board raised taxes in order to pay for this? Well, the board already levies everything the board is authorized to do so. The Florida legislature dictates the millage rate that the boards can levy. Miami-Dade School Board is already levying the maximum amount of millage that they can. That is why the board sought to put the question on the November ballot.
And can you just list some of the municipalities that are partnering with the school district with this initiative?
So we have the city of Miami, the city of Miami Beach, the city of North Miami Beach, North Bay Village,
Gables.
the Gables, Pinecrest. We have
Hialeah
Gardens, Miami Lakes, so
Pinecrest.
Sweetwater. Yes.
Pinecrest?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure you mention Pinecrest.
Yes, Pinecrest is there.
My next
Palmetto
question.
Bay.
I'm sorry?
Palmetto Bay came
Palmetto
on
Bay.
board last night. So Palmetto Bay is also partnering with us.
Oh, okay. So Palmetto Bay is the only school probably in the deep, deep south. Well, they're not the deep, deep south, but on the south end. Okay. So all my questions for you, but I think you should stay up here in case my colleagues have some more questions. But I want to make sure that this is balanced because quite naturally, working with children, that's the type of work that really feeds my soul. But I also have a record to reflect that I've always supported our police department and what is in your best interest as well. And I recognize that this may have an impact on you too. So if Chief or Colonel, if one of you want to just talk a little bit about your perspective and what this would mean for the police department, because we don't want to put you in a situation that are increased response times, impact our police officers to where they're not getting enough rest to be able to handle their shifts. So can you just talk a little bit about your reality?
Chief, Colonel, good.
Good evening, Councilwoman Faircloth, Mayor, Council. Yes, we've been working with the school board and we were presented when this bill first initially passed at the end of the school year last year. We understand this concerns. I myself have many children that go to school, so I can understand the need for the security and so forth. And as a police department as a whole, and the history of this police department has always been to do the utmost best for our community. The issues we've been struggling with is our current manpower at what it's at with our full-time officers and our reserve officers. The level of service we're at right now, we really don't have the available staffing to take 6 additional officers off the road or from yanking them from different units to supplant this type of detail. It would be 5 days a week, six schools, so you'd be looking at basically 38-hour shifts. Initially, I'd sent out a package which included an off-duty rate. Unfortunately, as that went along, we realized that we really cannot promote that or do the off-duty rate because it becomes a bargaining issue concern. So it really boils down to two things, the other 2 options we have, which was one was the overtime aspect of it, or the second one was the actual hiring of 6 additional police officers. If you take the off-duty rate, the overtime rate, and I'll find the paperwork here in just a second, I apologize. If you take the overtime rate, what we did was we based the figures you were given, we based it at a mid-level police officers, because obviously we don't know which officers would work the off-duty, the overtime rate detail. So we based it on a mid-level rate, which is $49.80 an hour. You base it on 180 school days at 1,440 hours, it comes out to $71,712. If you deduct the $35,000 and the $35,088 that school board is offering for each of the schools for staffing, it leaves a total of $36,624 per school for a total of all 6 schools together, a total amount of $219,744. The other option is hiring 6 full-time police officers. That's obviously a much more expensive endeavor for the city to take on. If we were to create 6 new positions, the first year cost for the police officer would be $120,688. If you deduct the $35,088 from school board for their contribution to that, you end up with an amount of $85,600. The issue here we have is not just the cost factor, but you're going to go into the second year, it's going to be more. It's going to be $135,625.
But right now, the second year isn't even on the table.
That's correct. But if you look at the first year, if we were say, we take 6 new positions and add them to our budget, if we had that funding or.
And not to cut you off, but I believe it's 4 schools. We have more schools in our city, but right now it's 4 schools: Redondo, Masted Homestead, Laura C. Saunders, West Homestead K8. I see those principals out here.
In the most recent MOU we received from them, it's 6 schools. It's Neva King, the International Education Academy, the Laura C. Saunders, Mast at 1221 Northwest 1 Avenue, Redondo, and West Homestead. That was from their MOU that they provided us.
Clarification, it would be 4 schools: Laurel Saunders Elementary, Redondo, West Homestead, and Masted Homestead. Those would be the 4 schools that would need coverage. The remaining 2 schools, we have police officers at those schools.
Okay, and thank you for that. And the reason I know this is because I've been doing a lot of research, so it's not that I've been given privy to any information that my colleagues haven't been given privy to. This is something I'm very passionate about, and it's been keeping me up at night. So I've been asking everybody questions. I know I'm getting on everybody's nerves, but it was very important for me to be aware of all of this. So it's 4 schools, and the district is proffering $35,088 per school. But with the overtime rate, right? The overtime rate, it would be 71,000, something like that.
$71,712 per school.
Per school. So I don't want to monopolize the conversation. So I'd like to hear what my colleagues, what is your position on this? Are you willing to support our kids, or are we not going to do anything? Which I hope that's not the case. But I'm just interested in hearing your thoughts.
Mr. Burgess.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Faircloth. I know that it's kept you awake, and it's a tough decision. And tonight, it hits home even more, because here we are talking to our employees about changing insurance carriers and all that, and how we needed to save $4 million, and then here's another expenditure that we haven't thought about or planned for. I guess if I could get the school board rep to come up here, please. That would be fantastic. And you referenced Miami Gardens, and I'm a little confused. And so when I spoke with Mayor Gilbert last week at length, he told me point blank, he's taking $35,000, going to use it. When the money's over, the details are done. So what's the school board's plan if somebody does that? I know he signed a form, and I believe if you were to ask Councilwoman Faircloth, she would tell you that he has quoted the same thing to her.
Well, that is not our understanding. Last week, towards the end of the week, there was a conversation that took place, and our understanding is that they will be covering the schools. There was never any discussion.
And this was Friday afternoon. I spoke with him at the League of Cities in Hollywood, Florida. And I believe she spoke to him after that, as she referenced that, and he referenced that when I called him back that he had spoken to her.
The MOU speaks to $35,088 for the 180 days. So if that is their vision, then we would obviously not execute that contract.
I don't think it's a vision. I think it's his reality.
I understand that, but that is not our understanding from that conversation. Albeit I was not part of that conversation, but that is not our understanding.
When you took $10 million and you've given $2 million of it to schools that quote unquote are nonprofit, but we all know they make money, what's the school board's rationale with that $2 million being divvied out to them?
That is a function of the current state statutes. They receive a student allocation from every. It's a mandate from the state of Florida. We, despite the fact that we have no real oversight over them, they get the same amount of money that we would on a per student basis.
You mentioned that there's a possible $58 million. Do we know what our possible percentage of that $58 million, or what would be our take on that?
It is my understanding that they would be distributing the money based on the number of students. We are roughly 12% of the state student population. So we anticipate, I would say, about
6.2 million, something like that.
$6.97 million, of which a portion of that would have to go to charter schools as well. So I don't want to mislead anybody. There would be a portion that would be discounted because that would go out the door.
What is a date anticipated? That, because session doesn't happen for a while up there. So is that something they're anticipating a special call back on the legislation?
It is my understanding through the Joint Legislative Budget Committee, which includes members of the Florida House and members of the Florida Senate, that they would be authorized to do that appropriations to the school districts.
You kind of alluded to a few schools. How many schools are covering 6 or more? I mean, how many district cities are covering 6 or more schools like we are? I know that Miami is an astronomical number.
City
but
of
you also
Miami-
mentioned towns up north. Bay Harbor Isle is in those schools. There's 4 municipalities covering one school, so it's not fair to throw their 4 names out there. And I just wanted to let my colleagues know, and all 4 of those names were used.
Well, we're entering with North Bay Village.
Bay Harbor Island, all
Bay
those
Harbor
folks, right.
Island, and they do, that school serves students beyond their township, but however, that school sits within that city proper, and hence why we are entering into the agreement with that municipality. If they enter into subsequent agreements with other municipalities, I'm not aware of it. The current MOU doesn't preclude it. It's not envisioned, but nevertheless, we are providing, and it's not per municipality. It's the allocations are based per school.
Correct.
Per school.
But they're sharing their expense with 4 other, so. You know, I went out today, and I took it upon myself to walk up to an officer who was working at one of our schools. And sadly, he told me the only reason he's there is to get the overtime. It's already taken a toll on him. He's done 3 doubles in a row. He doesn't know how he's going to do it. And that's one of my biggest concerns is our guys have to go out and work a double because we don't have anybody else to fill their position when they get done at the school. So they've got to go do the night shift or go home and sleep and go back at midnight and then go to the school during the day. And one of my biggest concerns is that some catastrophe happens, the unthinkable, because of somebody being fatigued, either at the school from working midnight and then going to the school, or when they come off and go to the regular shift that they've got. And that's one of my biggest concerns, is the fatigue. And this gentleman verified it today. After 3 days, he's already fatigued. And that's a concern to me. So I just wanted to put that out there. And the only reason he's there is for the money. And it's, no, he's not far. So, thank you.
Mr. Maldonado?
Thank you, Mayor. As a past chair of the Education Committee before Ms. Faircloth, and you know, I've had the privilege of working with the staff members that are here, and I'm glad to see all of our local principals here in support. You know, I try to think about what we always said about, you know, how do we make our schools better, and I know that parents are struggling with just taking their kids to school. There's a huge safety issue at hand, and so I see this as an opportunity to provide that peace for our parents, letting them know that there's an officer there in case of emergency. I favor that. I look at it as a plus that we could give our residents in the city and the schools that are here, even if it was just for 1 year. Listen, we just went through Parkland. It was crazy for you know, to think it's so close to home. The times we've seen them, they've been in, you know, Midwest, on the west side, and so just a major concern. I guess I have a few questions, and they're going to be kind of directed differently. One, maybe to staff, and I'd want to ask staff to talk a little bit about if we went with the first option, which is the overtime. And Councilman Burgess just mentioned it. That was going to be my question, my concern on, what is the ability for us to truly handle that? Because I think that, to be honest, that's really the only option that we do have. Because option two, to me, I don't think it's an option right now, because we're going to bring in 6 officers, 4 officers full-time, have them for 1 year. Let's say for some reason they're no longer going to provide any more funding after the first year. Where does that put that officer that we now hired? We can't just let them go. I don't think we're in the business of just saying, hey, we're only going to hire you for 1 year. I think that would be something that we'd want to, keep on board. But anyway, since I'm thinking that we're not going to use that option because it's pretty tough. Talk to me about the option that is truly on the table.
The option that's on the table, which would be the more affordable of the two, which is the overtime rate. This police department's never been tasked with 6 additional overtime positions to fill at an 8-hour basis, 5 days a week. So can I tell you we can do it? I tell you, if you mandate it, we're going to do our absolute best, okay? I will say this, that we have off-duty details right now that are being covered. The charter schools are hiring officers at off-duty rate. We are only able to cover 7 of those 9 schools. We can't mandate people to work off-duty details. So we've had to reach out to FHP. FHP is too tasked with their staffing. They advised they could not assist us. They're too tied up assisting in some of the other agencies' issues, along with the mass construction that we all see on the roadways where they're working those details. So staffing there. Can we do it? If you tell us you want it done, we're gonna do our absolute best, as we always have, to accomplish that. Is it gonna add a strain on us at times? Absolutely. Is it gonna be a strain that could affect health issues because we have to hold over a midnight shift officer to fill the school detail, mandatory overtime? It could end up being, could end up affecting us, yes.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, let me say this. Right now, as the police chief, I don't want to commit myself in these offices in a situation where I think it's going to fail. It's not going to work. I say that because if we can't staff the schools that we have now, because officers going to court, calling in sick, and everything else that goes along with them not being there, if I do something like this dealing with teachers and kids' lives, I'm not going to do it half-assed. Excuse my French. That's not the way I operate. If we can't do it the right way, I'm not going to sit here and say, let's piecemeal this. You're talking about kids and teachers' lives. And that's something that, like I said, as police chief, we care about safety too. That's what we do. And we love kids. I've been here almost 40 years, and we have taken care of the schools in this community in 40 years that I've been here. We haven't failed them yet. This is the first time that I'm saying in almost 40 years that there's something that we probably can't do. We've never done it before. We never said we couldn't do anything in this town. This is a problem. And I'm just saying, we'll do whatever you all want us to do, but I'm going to say that I don't do things in a way where I'm not sure that somebody's safety is not going to be in jeopardy. I don't operate that way. So I'm just saying, hey, we can do it. We'll do the best we can, but we cannot, I'm not saying we probably will not going to be able to cover these schools the way they should be covered. And I give you a perfect example. I give you 2 examples. Just Monday, we try to keep an 8-man minimum. Just Monday, on day shift. Monday, we had 10 people working on day shift. 9 of them had court. So what did we have to do? We had to rob Peter to pay Paul, and we didn't do that because we couldn't even staff the city because officers had to go to court. What did we do? Tell them we can't come to court because, we're short. we have to mandate this city. I mean, take care of the city. And if something goes wrong where somebody needs assistance in the city, and we don't have the personnel here, we're going to be another Parkland. We're going to be talked about because our job is to make sure the city's safe. Just today, we had an officer working in one of the schools today, one of the charter schools today, that works there full time. He had court today. He put out a memorandum to the department and asked one officer just to cover him while he go to court. Well, guess what? The guy went to court. The school was left unmanned. Nobody could take it. Everybody would burn out. We don't have the staff to make sure that things are done the right way. So I'm saying that to say this. I mean, you know, all of us had kids. All my kids went to the schools here. That's why we took care of these schools for the 40 years that I've been here. And I know what it is to have, you know, teachers and kids in school wondering if something's going to happen. So the kids mean a lot to us as well. But I can't sit here and say to everybody here that we're going to make sure that everything's okay, because the first time something goes wrong, and I put my stamp of approval on it because I know it's not going to work properly, well, guess where it's going to come back? To the police chief in this city. That's why I'm saying that if we can't do it the right way, I don't want no part of it. We're not talking about putting somebody at McDonald's, Burger King. We're talking about putting somebody in schools to make sure that our kids and our teachers are safe. You can't play with that. You can't piecemeal it. You got to do it the right way. So again, like the colonel said, we can work on it. It's not going to be 100%, but if something goes wrong, who's going to carry that blame? Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you all that. I'm going to say we can do this, and then something happened at school to one of the teachers and to those kids, and I got to sit here and live with that. I can't do it. So that's just my little piece.
Thank you, Chief. And, you know, reading the notes that were given us by the Colonel, that's kind of where that question came about. And I'm, you know, have heard in regards to the overtime and make sure that it's staffed. The other question that followed that thought was the fact that according to, and the school staff could answer this question, there's supposed to be a level, I guess some training for the school for the officers that will be in the part of the school. You know, what happens, let's say I mean, I don't know how we're gonna work this out. If we say we're gonna have, you know, I don't think all of our officers are gonna be able to go through that. I know it's 8 hours, but are they all gonna go through that? And then we also have to pay that as well. Talk to me about that. That's kind of my concern, question that I have,
It's actually a very good point that's in the MOU. Part of it states that the officer has to be school-based, law enforcement trained, which my understanding is that's an 8-hour course. But in addition to that, it's a crisis intervention training course that they have to attend and have a certificate for. That's a 40-hour course. So it'd be 48 hours of training for an officer to work in the school. So the officer would have to have that training to do it. Now, in the meeting we had August 2nd, it was clearly brought up the fact that obviously with this all being shoved down the county's throat and trying to staff the schools, that probably would not be able to be attained immediately and kick off with the officer having that training. But long term is you're looking at any officer that works that overtime detail has to have that 48 hours training, because if something goes wrong and you end up in court, you're going to be looking at them saying, well, this officer wasn't certified in crisis intervention training or whatever. Granted, again, we do have a portion of our officers that have received that training, but if I had to give you an estimate percentage-wise, we're probably looking at maybe 20, 25% that have had that training. So now you're minimizing your pool of overtime officers that the resources that you can place there. Right. Unless you send them to that training.
That was my, so what, kind of the scenario you laid out. Okay, let's say we have an officer doing overtime there, and he has to go to court. He's the one who's trained. If he leaves, the replacement comes in. Is it only the pool that are trained, or is it going to be any officer? And I don't know where the school stands with that, and in regards to how strict are they in following that, or
it has to be someone that's trained. You just can't stick anybody in schools.
Would the staff be able to chime in on that as well? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, staff. Basically, as I sit back there with my team, we're hearing the concerns, and I've had the daunting task of dealing with 18 different municipalities, 18 different chiefs of police, and city officials to get to the point where we've agreed with 18 different entities which are in our schools right now. And it's been a daunting task. And the fact that we're talking about the component of the 8-hour training, if, God forbid, an incident happens at a school, at Homestead Senior High, Homestead Police is responding. Zero training, zero SBLEO training, zero CIT, it doesn't matter. It's all hands on deck. The component that was outlined and delineated in the MOU pertaining to the 8 hours of training was for us to facilitate a crash course for officers to have the opportunity to work in our schools, to basically share with them the way a school administration deals with a police officer, the non-criminal incidents that are handled by the school administration that don't necessarily lead to an arrest. We want to educate the officers that have not worked with juveniles that necessarily arresting an 8 or 9-year-old child is not in the best interest of the future for committing a crime. Stealing a phone, every phone's worth over $300. That's a felony. The last thing I want to do, I have an 8-year-old son. God forbid my son, or when he commits a crime, because kids are kids, and a crime could be classified as the most minor thing. The last thing I want is an arrest for my child. Call me as a parent, let me handle the incident. And I think we all want that for our kids. So those are some of the topics that are discussed in the 8-hour training. However, the law mandates a cop in a school. The interaction between the cop and the kids inside a school is not really dictated by the law. Whether the officer is more in a support role, many agencies, only 2 agencies, Coral Gables and the Beach, have assigned full-time SROs that's their only assignment, the school resource officer. Every other entity, specifically the larger ones, are all on an overtime basis. So Monday you'll have Officer Smith, Tuesday you'll have Officer Jones, and it's on a rotating basis, and they're in a support role where they're just providing a police presence. It's a police car in front of the school, a trained law enforcement professional inside the school or in the perimeter of the school. So in the event, God forbid, we have an active shooter, you have someone that's trained and qualified to respond. I currently have my officers, some of them that we just got off training last week that are in our schools right now as SROs that are not SRO trained, that are not CIT trained. I'll get to that. They'll become that. But my son, I'm relying on Miami-Dade because I live in unincorporated Dade, and my son goes to Kennedy Elementary, and I have a Miami-Dade cop. I don't know if that cop has CIT trained or has gone to my 8-hour training. I just wanted to provide an opportunity for cops during the summer that committed early on a platform for them to know how to deal with those certain intricacies that involve dealing with kids and school administration and dealing with non-criminal offenses, and let us do the investigation when there's calls for services at the school that require our intervention. We have a certain protocols dealing with our Office of Professional Standards when it deals with employees that we prefer to deal with and our investigators to deal with. The ask of us as a school district for our partnering municipalities is to provide police presence in the exterior perimeter of the school and get involved inside the school as much as they like or they can. Other than that, we're there for presence. We're asking for presence. We have 18 different cities in our schools. First time in history that we have so many different entities inside our schools. It's 390 schools. We have 130 schools covered internally with our resources. I've depleted my entire investigative division, my entire internal affairs unit, my entire recruitment and selection unit. I literally have only command staff outside of schools right now. Every other sworn person is inside of school as an SRO. We've hired 34 cops in the last 2 months. 34. We're going to continue hiring aggressively. We're going to hire 260 cops here in the next couple of years. But till we get to that point, we have to rely on our partners to help us not only staff schools, but meet the law, the requirement. That was an unfunded mandate, however, it's been handed to us. And until we have an opportunity, when the legislative session opens again, when we ask for additional funding, when we go collectively with all the cities in Miami-Dade County up to Tallahassee and ask for more money, until then, we got to do what we got to do And it's a tough task, but that's in a nutshell, a snapshot of what we've been dealing with in the last couple months.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that response. And that was going to be one of the other questions I had. You know, what was going to be the commitment, which you've already covered. The commitment of our officers, you know, are they just a presence there, or are they going in, dealing with issues, you know, fight breaks out, you know, do you guys call an SRO officer to come in and handle it, or is our officer going in there, you know, because they have a walkie-talkie or the number, or the principal has the number to the officer? Is that officer going in there and handling
Excellent
that?
question. So we have every traditional middle school and high school covered with our police officers. 90% of the incidents happen in the middle and high schools. Most of the crime, the students are driving in high school, so you have a multitude of incidents. At the elementary level, it's basically traffic incidents in the morning, and then non-criminal offenses or occurrences that are handled by school administration. For that reason is why we are putting our folks at the schools which require more involvement. Homestead is 4 schools, not 6. I've heard 6, toss the number 6 around. We got Homestead Middle, we got Redland Middle, we got Homestead Senior, and a multitude of other schools that we're covering throughout the county. It's the 4 schools that were outlined by Ms. Mendez-Cartaya, the ones that we are requesting assistance with. We have 6 or 7 different municipalities throughout the county that are still, and they're all smaller based agencies. Actually, Homestead's the largest one out of our 7, with 4 right now, which have police departments in them. We've had to rely on certain cities like Sweetwater, who has a large, extensive reserve officer program, and pay them so they can, you know, cover certain schools in certain areas. And we're using them as a hybrid force around. And any other agencies, we're building our reserve officer program, so we're able to do kind of the same thing. But until then, we have close to 20 schools that are being covered that because of the lack of agreements with those specific entities. Somebody asked which cities they were. South Miami, Homestead are the main ones. We have Miami Springs as well. You know, those have two schools each, 2 elementary schools. Then you have small cities like Miami Shores. You have 1 there, 2 in Opelika. And pretty much that's it. Obviously, we spoke about Cutler Bay, but they subcontract their services out to Miami-Dade Police. So there's certain nuances there. Even though there's 3 like entities that subcontract their services out to Miami-Dade, Miami Lakes, which we have an agreement with them, Palmetto Bay, which we have an agreement, and the last one that we're working on is Cutler Bay.
Excellent. Thank you. Again, I'll just end with for the moment. I'll just end with this. I know that safety is a great concern. You know, we always think that, you know, we just hope that it doesn't happen to us. And you know, I would hate it. I would just say I would hate the fact that if something did happen and we had an opportunity to do something and we didn't do something, that would be my concern. And so I'll just put that for the record on where I stand, where I feel about this. So I'll hold the rest of my questions and concerns for now, and if anything, I'll return. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Roth.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to be pretty clear, too, that, you know, child safety, staff safety, teacher safety, it's all of our priorities to make sure that those things are done. And now sitting here hearing real life situations simply unfold in front of us, it's not I don't think at this point from us, it's not a lack of willingness, it's a lack of manpower. And I don't think about this or focus on this every day and make plans to what could be done, what can't be done, how do we hire more people, what are the next tasks. And I have a question. So far since the school year started, Chief or Colonel, maybe one of you guys can answer, have any of the schools in Homestead been unmanned? Not by us.
Not that we're.
What's
Not
that?
that we are aware of, no.
So
They
the
are
county's
manned
been able to cover all of those schools?
That's correct, either by Miami-Dade School Police or by an armed security.
So I just don't want people to think that schools inside the city are not being protected, because they are. Yeah. Is that correct?
That's correct. In addition to that, we actually have our, the first 2 weeks of each school year, we put together a detail, our traffic unit, and they're augmented by people that we pull from other units to do traffic details in the morning and the afternoon to get everybody accustomed for safety reasons with the kids.
And then you throw in the charter schools that I wouldn't even have considered are taxing our services and hiring you because they as well are mandated, I would assume, to have security in their schools. So it brings up a big dilemma. And it's not just the city's issue at this point, and it's certainly not the county's issue because they have the same problem. They don't have the manpower. And this is not really coming down to dollars. It's coming down to, again, manpower. And as Councilman Burgess said, he went up to a gentleman today that has worked, multiple shifts for overtime money, and eventually, when officers get fatigued like that, it changes attitudes as well. They may not be as sharp as they need to be in the school system to protect our young kids. And I'm quite surprised that the state would put us in this position knowing that we don't have the manpower to do this, regardless of the money. I just think that this whole thing could have been better prepared and thought out. And I've read these programs of guardians versus police officers in the schools. And the amount of training that they have to go through. I thought I read somewhere they had to go through like 136 hours of training, but they're not licensed law enforcement. They're going to be guardians, and they changed that name from something else. So, I was kind of thrown back by that. Is there anything that we can do to help with manpower? How do we get more manpower? Because that's what we need right now. What's that? What, did somebody say raise taxes? What's the school board's budget? How much is their budget? Does anybody know that? I don't think this is a dollars and cents thing. I think it's a manpower thing.
Budget is $5 billion.
$5 billion?
$5 billion, which includes capital construction. Let me just clarify.
You said $5 billion.
Yes, that's a $5 billion budget. We are funded through the funding formula in the state of Florida called the Florida Education Finance Program. And the money comes to us, for the most part, spent. It is spent for us. They have what I like to call little buckets, and they put X number of dollars in the bucket for instructional materials, and it can only be used for instructional materials. Then they have a bucket called technology, and it can only be used to purchase technology. And so there's various buckets that in total ends up being our budget.
Okay, so what's the budget for the police department, the school board police department? Just out of curiosity.
23 million? 23 million.
23 million. And if you had to fill every school with one officer, what would that cost? You got 392 schools, right?
You heard the chief say that he's basically, with the exception of his command center, has deployed.
I understand that. But if you had to put a police officer in every single school, what would it cost?
Well, you would have to add another 243 officers at an average salary of, what, $75,000 or at about $100,000? An additional 60 million.
So 60 million. So now you'd go from, I think you said 25 million to okay, and the budget's $5 billion. So it doesn't come down to the money at this point. It becomes a manpower issue. And I'm all for it. I mean, but if we don't have the manpower, and I think the chief made a very good, point that, we can't respond to calls. He had 8 guys on duty, and 8 of them had court that day or something. I'm going to reserve for later, but I just wanted to go and say it's our children and the people that work in those schools. It's top priority that they're secured, that we understand that they're being secured. And I think we need to look at other solutions because all of the counties and all of the cities throughout the state are probably going through the same thing. They're all probably undermanned, overworked, getting fatigued. This is day 3. They got 177 days to go. So just a little concerned that we're going to burn some people out and we're going to end up with less manpower than we had. Accidents are going to happen because of fatigue. You know, not to be funny about this, but I saw some pictures that came out of Chicago, and over the weekend, they found officers sleeping in their cars. You know, so I don't want that happening in my city, my county, or in my state. But I just think that somebody should have addressed this manpower issue because we knew this was going to happen before we got to the beginning of the school year. So anyways, I'll rest for now, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Fairclough.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me just reshuffle the deck a little bit. I won't respond to all of the comments because some of them were a little offensive. But Councilman Burgess, you know I have a lot of respect for you. And you mentioned something very important. You said, we didn't plan for this. We didn't. But you know who else didn't plan for this? Parkland didn't plan for this either. Broward County didn't plan for this either. But they have to respond to this. Those other municipalities recognize that they didn't plan for it either. But they had to respond to this. And I don't want us to use this officer who's doing this for the money, who's probably sleeping at that school, as a marker or barometer of what will happen here. Because I believe in the power of positive thinking. I believe in our police department. I brag about you all the time. You are a top-tier police department, and I know when you have to rise to the occasion, you do just that. And I would dare to believe that any of our police officers will be out of school sleeping. These police officers are there for safety. They are not there to be the kindergarten cop walking the halls. It is clear. They are there for safety. Yes, there's a $50 billion budget, but we have teachers who aren't getting paid what they're supposed to get paid because the school districts are not giving the amount of funding, the appropriate amount of funding to pay these teachers. So if it's not enough to pay teachers, it's not enough to pay police officers. Who has the manpower? I don't think any municipality has the manpower, but they're making it happen. And because I am that passionate about it, if you can't tell already, I would be willing to do this job here, which is almost a full-time job, $1 a year with no health costs, because that is how passionate I am about this cause. I have been up at night. I have been emailing everybody. All the information I have, you didn't give it to me. I asked for it. I've done my homework. I've grappled with this. All the concerns up here are valid, and I get it, and I'm still grappling with it. But I can't sit here and look these principals in the face, look these teachers in the face, look the students in the face, look the parents in the face, and say, Homestead, we're not getting involved, we're not doing anything. I can't do that in good conscience. I can't. I know it's a stretch for us, but what I also know is that you'll rise to the occasion if you're given a task. I know that because I believe that much in your ability. And all I've heard is why we can't do it and all the concerns. And as elected official, yes, we have to think about those pitfalls. We have to think about the exposure. But I also would like to think about how can we meet the school district in the middle? What can Homestead do to support our schools? I know it's tough, Chief. I know it's tough, Colonel. I know it's tough, colleagues. But I will not leave here tonight and do nothing, but that's just me. So what I would like to do, if none of my colleagues have any other questions, I would like to proffer a motion to support this for 1 year only, 4 schools, match $35,088 per school, the same dollar amount that the district is providing for those 4 schools for 1 year only. So that is a motion, and we'll let it chips fall where they may.
Is there a second to the motion? Motion is made, properly made and seconded. Discussion, Mr. Burgess.
Thank you.
here, hold on.
We all know you're passionate. I'm passionate too. I've got a 12-year-old son that attends school. And God forbid something that happened at Parkland or any of these other schools would ever happen here. One thing that has come to my attention that many parents are upset about, and this goes back to the school board, is the closed campus. Because where my son goes was a very open campus with military families there every day military people on the campus. Many Miami-Dade police officers have their children there, state troopers. And now we have excluded that safety net that was at that school because of the closed campus policy. So I think the school board also needs to look at that closed campus policy, because now you have taken a shield and a protective layer that was at that school, and I'll say Air Base Elementary School, and removed it. And that was an automatic freebie every day. And as a parent, that upsets me about that school in particular. So I don't understand how you remove a safety net at some schools and then come in and want people to take care of other schools. So that's one question that I have for you guys. And I understand not every school is the same. I've been to Laura Saunders. I've been all over, done principal for day at many different schools and traveled throughout. But I think that is something that needs to be revisited with schools that are able to handle it and have a safety net built in, and there's many of them inside of Miami-Dade that you guys have now excluded that could be handled through those types of things, and that officer could go somewhere else, or security guard, whatever they, whatever they have. And Air Base Elementary School is not in a great neighborhood either, so don't think it's sitting on some hill. If you go over there, last year they were locked down 2 times, I believe, so it's not a great neighborhood. But you have excluded a safety net, and that's very upsetting to every parent that's over there. So if it's upsetting at one school, I got to imagine that it's got to be upsetting at many other schools. One question, your school, and forgive me for not knowing exactly which school you're at.
G.W. Carver Elementary.
And what, and who, is that a Coral Gables officer at your school or a Miami-Dade? Okay. I wasn't sure how they had worked it out there, because I know that there's been a lot of Miami-Dade guys. The mayor there generously gave out many guys to cover it. But I also think, where the heck did my notes go? Oh, well, they're gone. I think that we need to look at this, and first of all, your motion I don't think would be able to pass because we wouldn't cover the full amount of money that the FOP. No, it comes out to more than 35. So I don't think that would cover it. Right. And I think Councilman Roth made an important point also. None of our schools have gone uncovered at this point. So, and this hasn't been asked to the school board. If tonight, for some reason, we don't come to a distinct answer tonight or a clear direction, our schools continue to be covered as they are now, is that correct? By Miami-Dade officers or whoever you guys deem necessary to come down and fill the position.
We are covering the 4 schools right now, currently.
Correct.
However, we don't have a contingency plan. As of last Friday afternoon, we had a gap of 19 schools open, or the total number of schools in the city. We asked Miami-Dade Police, being the largest entity, if they're already covering 103 schools, if they were able to cover the extra 19, and they couldn't. So for that reason is when we went all in and put our complete support services into the schools for this first week. We cannot sustain. Our first 2 days, for the first time in the history of our department, 200 employees, we had 100% attendance. That's how we were able to have.
Congratulations.
That's how we were able to have a cop at every school. But as people go on light duty, people get relieved of duty, people take sick time, vacation time.
Doctor's appointments.
There could be episodes or times when schools won't be covered. Excuse me. The law mandates that the district and it's clearly written, partner with local municipalities to meet the mandate. And that's what we're trying to do.
And trust me, I want to get there. I don't know how to get there yet.
No, I wish I had the magic answer.
Because God forbid anything happen to any student anywhere, whether I had a kid there, a son or not. There's nothing. I had dinner with the mayor of Parkland last Friday night. She still to this day breaks down in tears thinking about what happens. And unfortunately, they had an officer there who didn't do a thing. And that's one of my fears too, is that we put somebody there that's not properly trained to go out there and do it.
Well, or you can have somebody that's properly trained with every extensive, training there is, tactical training, and doesn't do anything.
Right.
And you can have a rookie officer with no training that steps up to the plate.
Or God forbid goes overboard.
Correct. So we can't, unfortunately, we can't gauge that.
Right.
It's tough to predict. We can do as many tactical scenario trainings, but at the end of the day, they're all just functional drills. It's not the real thing. So that's above and beyond. Now, all I can do is tell you what other cities are doing. I can tell you what each and every city that has partnered with us, all 18, are doing to assist and participate.
I was at the League of Cities last week, and I spoke to as many mayors as I could from Miami-Dade, whether it be Bermudez, Gene Flynn, Oliver Gilbert, whoever I had a chance to speak to that was, suffering, or not suffering, but dealing with this issue and trying to work their way through it. And everybody had different answers. One guy told me they may make money. I said, well, let me know how that works out, because we want in on that program. But, he was the only one that said they were going to make money, and it's not a laughing matter. Yes, Chief.
Go ahead, Chief. For Homestead, it's not about the money. It's the manpower. We don't have the people to put in the schools. Listen, if anybody care about these kids in this county, it's us. Even because we've been doing this a long time. We've been taking care of the schools down here since I've been here, and we want to do what we can do to assist you all. But we can't guarantee, and I told you this earlier, we can't guarantee that somebody's going to be in school every day because we don't have the manpower. And it's kind of sad to say that, but like I said earlier, here we are trying to take care of the city, and we got officers got to go to court. What do we do? What do we do? You have to. I'm not gonna say what you have to do, but I said it my own way. You can't get blood out of a turnip. We don't have the personnel to make that work. Right now, the chief is saying if something else happened, you and your command staff got to go out there and cover the schools. It's just how critical it is, because it's a mandate the schools got to be covered. You got guys that on administrative leave, you got guys that is injured, you got guys that are going to call in sick. Yeah, forget about the training part of it. All of us are trained to protect citizens. Forget about that. We can do that part. The part that I'm concerned about is that you don't have the personnel to put in those schools to make sure that everything is supposed to happen the way it's supposed to happen. And what I mean is that somebody got to be there from bell to bell, 180 days a year. That's the problem, So I don't want anybody to think that Homestead Police or the city of Homestead do not want to assist. We'll do whatever we can. We're just saying that if something goes wrong because we cannot man it, maybe say 50 times out of the 180, and something were to happen, who's gonna absorb that responsibility? Especially when you sign an MOU that you're gonna do it for 180 days.
Well, there's instances where our cops won't be at schools. For example, dealing with union breaks. That's another battle that we're having. Our officers, through their collective bargaining agreement, have a 30-minute duty-free lunch. So as much as we're trying to create a culture at the school where the officer wants to eat at the school or eat with the kids, that's a logistical concern for us. In addition to it, we have a duty to respond. If we're at the officers at Homestead Senior High and there's an emergency with a Homestead officer a couple blocks away or a mile away and they're involved in a shooting, we're leaving Homestead Senior High and we're gonna go get your back over there. So until that incident is settled, there won't be anybody at Homestead Senior High. It could be 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. Those are realistic situations which can happen. Or an officer called out sick. immediately. They need to leave. So we may provide a gap coverage there, but there may be an hour or two or 45 minutes, 30 minutes till an officer gets there. So there are instances where we can have a school that's not covered for a particular time. Now, where we are all liable is if, God forbid, an incident happens and the law says that the school district, because the law was written for school districts without a police department. There's 74 school districts in Florida, and less than 6 have schools police. And the law is written for the majority, which are school districts without a police department. So it clearly states school districts partner with municipalities to cover schools. We're able to take care of 130 of those, but it leaves the gap, and God forbid something happens, we're all, as a school district, as a city, we're all liable. And that's the true fact there.
Burgess.
Thank you. This is a prime example of what the League of Cities fights for, because this is home rule, and this has been taken away from us by the state mandate, and it's not your fault. You guys go up there, and I've seen you guys up there fighting for the same type of things. But this is exactly why, and I'm just using this as a quick minute to try to get my colleagues a little more involved, because through the strength of the League of Cities, things like this, we can stymie them up there or put them away altogether. So I would, I would encourage you guys. Some of you weren't able to make it, but this is exactly what we fight for when we go up there. It's home rule, giving us the ability to control ourselves' destiny, so we don't end up with situations like this, and unfortunate situations of where people's emotions get the best of them and argue. But I know my colleague has made a motion to do it tonight, and I think that we need more discussion amongst the chief. Obviously, he is not sold on it, and most importantly to us is that. So I would like to see our chief, the 2 chiefs, the colonel, whomever, try to come together with a little bit of a better plan, because if we don't have the manpower and we take this upon ourselves tonight, and the school board walks away thinking that we're going to do it, and then we have 4 schools that are sitting there empty, we've opened ourselves up to a large headache, and that's only going to snowball into an even bigger problem than where we're at today. And I know that, I don't know if there's any FOP representatives here that wanted to speak about what the feeling is of the lodge, and what their thoughts would be on trying to fill. Because the off duties that we would run would go through the lodge. I don't know if they want to say anything, or anybody from the union or whatever. But anyway, that's where I'm at. I got to get Vice Mayor.
I just have a point of order question.
Go ahead.
Point of order. There was a motion and a second, and we're going back into debate and discussion.
Okay.
We either voted up or voted down.
Well, Mr. Shelley, Vice Mayor hasn't even had a chance to comment.
But
so.
I was just asking, point of order. Is this in order?
Can I get the Vice Mayor, and then we'll call the question.
Fair enough.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I empathize with the school board, the position that they're in, and again, as Councilman Burgess stated, this is an unfunded mandate. This is a violation of home rule charter. This is all these things that are now putting us all in these very complicated positions to try to meet that mandate. Which I think the law that was passed needs further and bigger discussion. It was a quick fix reaction to something that occurred, and it may or may not be the best way to safely guard our kids, to make sure that they're safe. There was officer at the school in which it took place, and it didn't stop it. And so there may be better ways in which we can spend these dollars and protect our kids and make things better. And I think that that's part of the process, is getting that information out to Tallahassee, and using our lobbying corps, and using our our strength and numbers in Miami-Dade County, and trying to make that change going forward. As it relates to what's before us right now, and the motion that's before us, and the issues that are before us, it is a very complicated and very tough issue. And I think there's a lot of points that have been made tonight, and so I'm not going to belabor and go into all those points on one end or the other. But I think for me, what is most telling is the chief's statements. And the chief is putting himself out there and making statements that are tough and risky for him to make, but he's making them because he knows the issues that we're going to run into. He knows the manpower, and he doesn't want to set us up for failure, or his officers up for failure, or the school or the kids up for failure. And so that is very compelling to me in tonight's discussion, and I think is the main point here for me, and is very persuasive to me in my decision-making process. I don't know the answer. I don't know what we do to solve the problem. I don't know that we have a way of doing it. Again, it's not a problem of our making, it's a problem from somebody else forcing this onto us and then trying to figure out how to comply with something that they think is the right thing to do. But as it sits now, and based on the comments and the discussions that we had, I don't know that the motion that's being proposed at this point in time is the solution or is the best way to solve this problem. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now as the information I have in front of me.
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call. I'm sorry, the motion was made by Ms. Fairclough, seconded by Mr. Maldonado.
Yes, sir.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Roth?
No.
Councilman Burgess?
No.
Councilwoman Faircloth?
Yes.
Councilman Maldonado? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Vice Mayor Shelley?
No.
Mayor Porter?
Me in the middle again. No.
Motion fails.
Keep working on this, okay? This is a big issue. It's not that we want to or don't want to. There's other cities that are holding out the same. It is a manpower issue. It is a money issue on both sides. We just basically took health care down a notch or two for our employees to save money, to turn around and then spend more money. So it's kind of a little bit of a problem we find ourselves in. But Chief, you're absolutely correct. We do have a manpower problem. We've known that for 10 years. 10 years. And it's really a little unfair, I think, that the legislature continues, as Mr. Burgess says, to continue to pass down mandates to us, and we have to raise taxes on our community. School board doesn't raise taxes, the state doesn't raise taxes, they pass it down to the municipalities to deal with. It's a little unfortunate, but yes, ma'am. Ms. Fairclough?
Yes. I'd just like to say, I've been talking about this for 2 months. I mean, we can't just say keep working on it, or we need more time or more discussion. I've been talking about this for 2 months. I've been asking questions for 2 months. So if you didn't do your homework, shame on you. You could have gotten the answers. So I apologize to those principals. I apologize to you parents and students that Homestead is not getting involved. Homestead is not supporting because of issues that I know we can rise to the occasion about. So to all of you, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Please come forward.
Just want to clarify a statement that was made regarding the board not willing to tax itself. The board is taxing everything that they are currently authorized to do so. The school board has taken that leap and has voted to put the question on the ballot on November 6th. So the school board is willing to increase taxes to deal with this. However, unfortunately, it would not be in time to deal with it for the 2018-2019 school year. For next year, God willing, should the residents of Miami-Dade support this initiative, we should have the funding to enter into partnerships and have a fully hired force to address this issue. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The next item is item 12. Mr. Manager.
Mayor, this is the annual capital improvement plan. Carlos, did you want to do a summary report, and then we can get into the detail if you'd like? Or?
Mayor and Council, in the car attached as part of the exhibit, you have a full detailed listing of all the CIP plans in the 5-year plan, including the ones that are being asked to be funded for 2019. Also, all of you received detailed information for each of these projects. Staff has prepared a PowerPoint presentation. One of them is 60 slides long, another one is 3 slides long, or basically, as you've historically done, you've basically, unless you have a specific question on any one particular project, usually we advance this as part of the proposed budget, which will be coming back to you in September.
Anyone have any specific questions on the CIP? Does anybody want to see a 60-slide presentation? Mr. Burgess?
The one thing that I did not see in there, and maybe I overlooked it, but just clarification from our Parks Director. I don't see any lights for the Roscoe Warren Fields. Are they in there anywhere? And if not, can we get them added in somewhere? Because we have no dedicated soccer fields, unfortunately, in this town, and that would be dedicated soccer fields that would be lit, that 450 kids that are now playing AYSO have to play on baseball fields. So I think that there's a need, and I'd like to see them added in.
Councilman Burgess, no, it's not in the this year's CIP. It is in a CIP to be determined. We are changing the lights at the baseball fields right now.
How many years has it been present on the list?
It's been, when we first looked into it, it was in the CIP, which was under determined. But what we're working on right now is the baseball fields because of the age of the lighting. So that was more important right now.
Thank you.
Ms. Ulster? Any other questions from council? Is there a motion? Do we need a motion on this? Just a presentation. We just have to do this for...
Just basically, we'll move it forward. If there's no questions or no exceptions, we'll move it forward to the proposed budget.
Perfect. Okay, moving on to public comments. I've got 2 cards. Mr. Kim Hill? Not here. Mr. Ed Powell? Mr. Powell? Public comment?
Edward Powell, 745 Southeast 18th Lane. And they said the hearing is the second thing that goes, and that's mine. And I really wish your acoustics in here, you would fix them for me, maybe, I don't know the rest of you, but those speakers up there, it might be good for, they're not good for me. Anyway, Mayor, you weren't here last couple of months. 2 months ago, I asked the city for invoices from the city attorney, WSH, for a case that's in civil court, a defamation case, for a Mr. Magruder versus a Mr. McDonough. And I asked you last month who authorized it, and all of you looked at me, including Mr. Gretzis, and I said, Mr. Gretzis, I think the buck stops there. And whether it does or not, I asked him point blank by email this week, did he or did he not approve to spend our money to hire the city attorney in a lawsuit against a private non-Homestead citizen, against someone that's suing that is also not a Homestead citizen. We spent $10,000 for them already, my money, your money, and we haven't even started. They haven't taken depositions. So, Patricia, I'm sorry you left. You want to save money? You want to save money? Lawsuits. You guys don't care. They don't care whether you violate my rights. They just get paid both ends of the deal. They violate it. They tell me. I asked for records about that authorization. You know what I get? I get legalese today from Mrs. Sewell. Legalese that I sent you a copy, still hot, fact. And you quote me, we have no obligation to answer it under section so-and-so required to profess. I am the public. I paid for this, and my money is paying for those guys. Now, where's the dividing line? The dividing line seems to be between Mr. Gretzis and the city. It should be between the mayor, or the attorney, I'm sorry, you and us. That ought to be the line. You know where the line is? Here's the line. Here's the line. It's the city manager, it's the city attorney, and it's you, the council. That's the line. Now, why do you let us, who you represent, spend our money on a case that doesn't have anything to do with Homestead, with a service within Homestead, and you sit here and you let that happen. I realize, Mayor, you're resigning, and I thank you for not resigning next year, saving us $100,000 in a special election, but many of you are term limited. So I guess you guys really don't care where the money, and you're worried about spending money and saving money, you could save it right there. Thank you.
Mr. Manager? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
what you-
just
I don't know what you
because
wanna say.
I guess in the spirit of when people say things that are not true, we're going to correct the record. This case is very complicated, and because it's pending litigation, we can't really talk about it in detail, other than to say, in our opinion, it does relate to city business, and that's our opinion. Mr. Powell's opinion may be different, but that's something that, it's a free country. He has a right to disagree. I also would contend that because I also contend that because he's not privy to all the details here, he's made opinions without having all the facts. And so once the case goes through its course, hopefully he'll see the additional facts and he can then draw his own conclusions after that. In terms of the comments about the city attorney and the line, there really is no line. I think that council members are briefed on these matters, and also the cases that have come before us, we're winning our cases. At least we win most of them. And what we also determine is that when sometimes people sue us for frivolous reasons, that it costs the city more in the long term if we don't defend the city, because what it does then, it invites more lawsuits. So I think we can continue with the month after month of pot shots to the city attorney's office. But the truth of the matter is they have had a great success in winning our cases. And this latest case that we won is going to involve the person ending up having to pay us legal fees, or reimburse the city for legal fees, and that's going to be the next phase of that particular litigation. So over time, what we're finding is people decide they want to try to push us around. That is a form of bullying tactic that we're not going to put up with, and we're going to continue to defend our rights and defend what we believe is right versus wrong. And the people who were engaged in suing or threatening to sue us tend to be the ones that come up complaining about all the legal fees that we spend. So I just thought it was important to put that on the record, and that's it.
All right, sir, thank you. Do you have any other business that you're up next? No. You done?
I lost $12,000.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Mr. Attorney?
No one's crying for me. I knew it. I knew nobody was going to cry for me.
Your mic was off good, so. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just need to request 2 quick executive sessions. One in the manner of Milner versus City of Homestead. It's case number 15-016642 in Circuit Court of Miami-Dade. And the other is a Ms. Bonacci as personal representative for the estate of Edward Foster versus City of Homestead, also in Miami-Dade Circuit Court, case number 17-017119. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Business from Mayor and Council, Mr. Roth. Nothing, sir. Thank you. Mr. Maldonado.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one question to staff, to Public Works. I've had a question in regards to the initial northbound on-ramp. What's happening there? Is it, they're going to remove it? They're staying on board?
Well, hold on. Go.
Yes, so, well, that project is obviously still under construction, so they're going through different phases. Basically, the phase that we were at till tomorrow was that they opened up that north entrance from westbound to north, rather than having it cross basically the roadway to use the existing ramp that was there before. That was done so they could do some work that they needed to do to realign the existing ramp that was to serve both, it used to serve both westbound and eastbound to go to north. As of tomorrow, they're going to open up that ramp again also. So the people will have 2 ways of going northbound. They can either decide to go right if they're going eastbound, or also go right if they're going westbound. So at the end of the day, that's going to be the design of the intersection, so that there's no people crossing through many lanes of traffic in order to go to the northbound lane. So as of tomorrow, they're going to reopen that. Of course, it's still under construction, so it's not in a perfect condition, but it will allow that operation to take place from both directions now.
Yeah,
And that, I think tomorrow they're going to open that.
Most importantly, it's not done. Everybody should need to know that what you're seeing now is not the final, but what we have noticed with the changes they currently made, it's substantially better than it was. So we're already starting to see some benefits. Councilman Burgess isn't barking at us quite as much as he has in the past. So we know that's a good sign. That's a good sign. And then the other thing is, what we have also noticed is people get that adjustment period where the signage is there, but some people pass it, and so they got to go around, and we're seeing some of that. But we're also seeing a ton of traffic go down and go right straight onto it's starting to work, we think.
So, and just, so they're going to close off the northbound entrance heading east to west, yes?
No, so tomorrow they're both going to be open.
No, I know that, but before, because you said they're both going to be open again, but initially the main problem was that, and I think you said it, I just want to be clear. We're not making, so if I come from the hospital and I'm going to get on a ramp, if I miss the first one, let's say, there's no left, right?
Yeah, there is no left turn.
Okay, it's done.
That's it. You're going to have to find a way to make a U-turn and come back. But
Yeah, there is no left turn across those 3 lanes, yeah.
The learning period, though, will be there. There's going to be a learning curve, and it's going to take some time to get people to adjust. But eventually, once they learn it, most nobody will pass it. And if they do, they'll have to find a way. They'll be sorry after that first time. They'll learn. Yeah.
They'll remember, right?
All right, thank you. Thank you. That's it for me.
Ms. Bailey. Nothing from Ms. Bailey. Mr. Burgess.
Well, since everybody else is so short, a couple quick things, if I could. Mr. Brea, or whomever handles bus benches, over in front of the McDonald's on 312 there, there's always numerous shopping carts set up as seats. I was wondering if we have any benches for the bus. That's a trolley stop and a Miami-Dade stop. So I was wondering if we might be able to get a bench over there for those people with their trash receptacle, because both of those things are a problem.
We'll work something out with the county. We'll get with them and see if we can put something there.
If we could look at that. Speaking of trash cans, and I called Mr. Brea and Mr. Maytan, he told me you have taken on another position, which I find hard to believe that there's any time left in your day to take on another position. But in my neighborhood, evidently, and I just let the experiment go on because the people must not have known to call. So I don't know, to call for broken trash cans. Mm-hmm. And for about 3 weeks, the drivers kept picking up the broken trash cans, and the people would have the wheels sitting on the container lid, but it made no difference. So can we reiterate to our drivers that not all citizens know to pick up the phone and say, I need a trash can, but if they see one that's broken or in need of repair, to please put it in their log that I have been told they're supposed to do.
Councilman Burgess, I have a staff meeting with all of them on Tuesday, so I'll bring that up.
Because I let it go just to see what would happen, and it was 3 weeks. I finally called Mr. Brea the other day, and I said, is this the normal? And he assured me it wasn't, so I would
I'll make sure I bring that up.
Speaking of 312 and Kingman there, they've got a 4-way sign up. If you're coming down Kingman, on the right-hand side, right at just maybe 50 feet below to the south of the intersection, that they've got 2 lanes that you can go straight on their sign. So the middle 2 lanes, they have going straight on the sign, but on the road, they have them
there's a turn. There's one turn.
Only one where you're supposed to turn to the left. 2 to the left, 1 straight for the on-ramp. So they need to correct their signage, because a lot of people are taking advantage of that, and it's only made for 1 car.
We'll get to them. We'll get to them.
What else? And then I know I harped on the soccer fields a little bit, but somehow this city needs to find a way to take some of those fields that are out there at that stadium complex and dedicate them to soccer. It is an absolute shame that we've got 500 kids signed up for AYSO, and they're playing on softball fields. I can't believe that the softball tournaments or the teams that come down here bring enough revenue for all of those fields that we can't convert a couple of those fields over to soccer fields and make them dedicated soccer fields. Because not only are you crunched into an outfield portion and you're losing a whole lot of area, but whenever it rains, which is every day, there's nothing but mud for all the families that tromp through. So I don't know how we do it, but we've got to find a way to take some of those fields and dedicate them over to soccer, and sooner than later. It's really kind of embarrassing. So, thank you. I'll leave it at that.
All right, sir. Mr. Maldonado, you want to follow up?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to kind of piggyback on 312 and I think it's what's where the Oasis? I mean, where the the Walgreens. What street is that again? Farm Life Road is? Is it Farm Life? No, it's 152. Okay, so just an issue that I've been seeing driving down that road in the mornings and just throughout every day. When you come out of that shopping plaza behind the dialysis center, a lot of folks are crossing over where they're not supposed to and making a left-hand turn. I know that.
Yep.
But since we're working on it.
No, I've noticed it too.
All right, thank you.
That's all, sir. Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yeah, one quick item, kind of an odd item. I need some feedback from my colleagues. I was contacted by Judge Bailey, Circuit Court Judge Bailey, a little while ago regarding some Everglades artwork that the city apparently acquired years and years and years ago that no one really knows the history of, that she wants to then hang in either the current courthouse or the new Miami-Dade County Courthouse when they get that built. And so the city attorneys and I have discussed it, and so what we need is some guidance from council whether or not they're interested in allowing that to occur so that the city attorneys can start working on the legalities of it. I think Dennis has some idea about the type of artwork. He's seen it, but it's been stored for many, many years. It's not on display for any purposes at this point. So my recommendation would be to, accommodate her request, being that, the more we can get the Everglades and things into public buildings outside of Homestead and encourage people to come down to the parks and ultimately the city as well as a gateway city, I think is beneficial. The only thing I would probably add to it, the request would be that we have some sort of right of first refusal in the event that they decide not to hang it in the courthouse or they later take it down and decide to move it, that they at least contact the city and ask the city whether or not we're interested in receiving it back before they move on. That would be the only thing I would request that goes in there. So,
You said, Mr. Burgess, you had a...
I would second that, and I was also asked that we get recognition down there for it, that it's from the city, not just some pictures that get hung up with whatever, but recognition somehow that this is from the city of Homestead, the gateway to the...
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that idea a lot.
Thank you. And so I'll second his, if he's looking for a motion, I'll second it.
And we see the artwork. We've not even seen it. Has anyone seen it? Where can we go see it before we give it away?
Just to let you know, we did let the Everglades use it at their, I think it was probably in 2011. They picked it up and they showed it over there in the Everglades. And then it's been sitting in storage at the water plant right now for 7 years. So, I mean, it's all wrapped up and everything, but it's in pieces. It's pieces of art that go together. Mm-hmm. It's hard to explain, but it's very big. And, I mean, I think we should go ahead and just donate it, like the Vice Mayor said. It's just been sitting there.
So it's a big piece of artwork.
I've not personally seen it either.
Is it one? That's what I'm saying. Like, for example, the bank gave away all those old pictures that they had in the Pioneer Room, and now they adorn our offices or throughout some of the offices in here. So, but I think we should at least see it before.
I've seen a rendering of it, not the actual piece itself, because I think it's based on some famous artist's work. It's a unique piece, is all I'll say.
There? I'm just kidding.
No, it's a unique piece. So.
All right.
Anybody opposed to the motion? Anybody opposed?
I am.
One no. Anybody for it? For it?
All right. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
You lose, Elvis. The Vice Mayor asked for it? Okay. All right, so I've been requested to remove 3 members of the Education Advisory Committee. No, I'm sorry, that was Ms. Fairclough. I guess these members they have not been attending. Is there a second? All in favor? Thank you. I also want to announce that we have a problem with planning and zoning, as we've heard. And I don't know if this is the right time or place to ask this question, but years ago when I was on the Planning and Zoning Board, they got paid a little bit to show up, and they got paid to participate. So you had them show up. Now, somewhere along the line, we've changed that where we can't give them any sort of anything to be on. And again, at the end of the day, it's a lot of work and it's after hours. What was it that you told me once before?
I'll defer to James, but I think at one point in time we were paying them $50.
$50. That's what it was.
$50
per meeting.
I think that was. I got here in 2011. I want to say we had abandoned that practice prior to 2011. Board members have asked about it before, but not for a long time. And I don't know, did the council rescind that? Does anybody?
Good, sure.
So at some point, probably, I want to say maybe 2008, 2009, somewhere in there, the council revamped the various boards to primarily make appointments consistent throughout and rules and regulations under the boards under Chapter 2. There are some regulations specific to the Historic Preservation Board and with regards to the Planning and Zoning Board. And to the extent that something isn't covered under the P&Z Board or something's different, then the P&Z Board would cover. To the extent that something's different, you look to the two. You have to look at the two to make sure that the rules and regulations blend. And at that point, you all decided at some point in 2008 or 2009 that there would not be any remuneration or payment for any of the boards. So you're free to change that,
right? But
policy-wise.
I'm just asking some question because the Planning and Zoning Board is a local planning agency. It's required to hear projects before it comes to council.
Right.
So it's required, and we are now backlogged. So one day we're going to come to this meeting, and there's going to be 25 land use items sitting in front of us, and it's going to impact all of us. So the issue is, and I know there's consistency, but I think we've got to do something. I can't get people that want to serve on boards, and this is a required board. I think that we should, staff-wise, have a discussion about it, and then put it on a CAL item, and give all of us some information as to the pros and cons, the parallels and whatever crosses up. But I think we need to see if we can incentivize these people to come to these meetings, because right now it is going to be a problem. It is a problem already. It is a problem already. So you talk about the cost. So how much has it cost us to staff the entire planning and zoning meeting, to have everybody show up, lawyers from out of town, everybody comes here, we don't have a quorum. There's a huge amount of cost there as well. So I'd like for us to get creative, at least initially with the Planning and Zoning Board, and see if we can make some sort of, get some sort of commitment from these folks, and if they're not going to show up, I don't know. I want to have a conversation about it, please, okay? Put something together for us, Joe, please. Okay?
Put it on the next cow.
Okay. All right. Also want to announce that we have one opening at the Southwest Advisory Committee, and tonight was a tough meeting. I hope we all show up next meeting getting along again, because it's very important. You got a question, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, just something.
Go ahead.
Done.
I'm finished.
Okay. No, it was back to the boards issue, and that is, it seems like I think the last couple of meetings we've had a lot of removing people from boards, of large quantities of people from these boards. Obviously, and it seems like for attendance or for their unwillingness to participate. And so I think that we need to also have a discussion as part of the discussion about the remuneration for the P&Z, but
just in general, figure out how are we advertising these openings? How are we, you know, why are we not getting public involvement? I mean, and it may not be anything that we can do. It just may be generally the public is not as engaged. They have other things they're working on, and they're not wanting to become engaged in the government or in the process itself. But it is concerning. This is probably the least active we've had boards, you know, in the 8 years that I've been on council now. And even prior to that, it seemed like there was always a clamoring of people that wanted to get involved in our community, either because it was a way of getting engaged and then eventually maybe working their way up the ladder. But there's nobody that wants to be on our local boards, and there's also doesn't seem to be a whole lot of interest in, you know, in additional service to the city. So I don't know how we solve that, but since you raised it, I did want to just kind of bring it out there because I'm also concerned about it. And then as far as I remember the change in the P&Z, it was in 2009, and I think it was, you know, there was political motivations, I think, when they revamped the entire code section, and the P&Z board just got wiped up or caught up in it. I don't remember any specific discussions that took place on that particular topic. It just was, it got just caught up in the other shuffle. So I'm open to hear it as well.
Yeah, and I think some of the items that the other boards may address may not be as time sensitive or time specific as what P&Z does, and the log jam that it can and has and is creating is a significant challenge for us. So, you know, my initial is that board because it's causing that problem for us. But I think, as Vice Mayor said, let's look. But I've got appointments for the TPO that I can't get anybody that wants to do either. So, and it is what it is. I think you know, people are kind of just the way they are, busy with lives, but I think we've got to find a way to address this P&Z issue. So
Bring back options.
No, you will. I know you will. Thank you. But is there a motion to adjourn? Wait. All in favor? Good night, everybody. Thank you.